All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Share this out, share this out, share this out. Welcome to Skull Island. Another edition,
Share.
right? Another edition of Skull Island. You guys need to share this out. Everybody, share this out, right? Go to
Yes,
skullisland.com.
share it
Skull
out, share it
Island
out.
PC at gmail.com. If you have any comments, requests, or
On
anything
YouTube,
else you
on
want to
Facebook,
contact us,
and on D Live.
right?
Yes, and D Live too. Yes,
We're
yeah.
live on
And
D
on
Live, I
D
believe.
Live,
I'm
yes,
not.
yes.
Hold on, I can check that.
I keep forgetting that, right? So we're on
Yeah, well, that's
Facebook
new.
and on. Are we on
Aaron started
YouTube,
it last
Facebook,
week,
and
and
D
it's a
Live,
good
or just
idea.
YouTube and D Live? We're on Facebook as well, right?
I think
Yeah.
we're YouTube, D Live, and Facebook, right?
Yep, YouTube, D Live, and Facebook.
Nice. Welcome,
There
everybody.
you go. We're expanding it. Good job, Aaron.
Expanding it,
That freaking
right?
rocks.
Hopefully, y'all can give us some
Congrats.
lemons over there on D Live so we can get some cryptocurrency going, so we can buy some new clothes. Because I
Right?
got holes in this one. Here. Wait, there it is. I'm going to tell you how I got that hole. This was my favorite shirt, the Rick and Morty shirt, the Rick shirt, and I
That's
got a
funny.
little hole there, but it's
A lot of
you know,
mine
there's
have-
children
a lot of
watching,
mine
so I
have a
can't tell
couple
you
of
how I got
holes.
that hole in my shirt.
A lot of mine have a couple of holes, like right on the shoulder, because my cat would climb on me, and he loved to do that, and he would sit there and knead on me, and he'd end up clawing through my shirts. I didn't think about that
Yeah.
until I started looking at all my shirts, going, "Why do I have all these freaking holes in the same spots?" I'm like, "Oh, cat."
Yeah.
See, my problem was ashes that ended up dropping on the shirt and burning a hole in the
Oh,
shirt.
dude,
So
that-
that's
yeah.
a whole nother
That was,
situation. That's
Well,
a bitch.
I
That's like
quit
a road.
smoking.
I have that
Road.
somewhere, some
in,
places too.
20, in
because
2013, I quit smoking, but I remember those days. Right?
My
Yeah.
poor
I remember
road,
when I was
this
a kid
my
one
favorite
day.
thing everywhere. There's holes everywhere.
I remember when I was a kid one night, we wake up and the smoke alarm's going off. My father had lit a cigarette and fell asleep and started the bed on fire.
Oh no!
So he wakes up and he and my mom are like trying to put out this fire on a mattress, and the alarms go
shit.
off, and this kids jump out of bed, and my father's like, "Okay, got to stop doing that."
No smoking in bed ever, and that's why I
Right?
don't really
Yeah,
smoke.
I don't smoke
either.
after I go to bed. Once I'm down for the night, that's it.
Yeah.
You don't
get
smoke
the house
after you
anyways.
go to
Right,
bed. Well,
yeah,
that
that
would be
too.
kind of hard. Well, I was thinking going to sleep.
Well, I
You
mean,
smoke
we don't
while you're
smoke in
sleeping.
bed,
Right.
basically.
You know, the sleep smoker. You get up, go outside, smoke a cigarette, and go back to
Right?
sleep.
That's.
I've
do that
done
in the morning.
that, but I've done that, but
I know people that can do. I can't. I've never been able to
I
do
was
that.
never one of those that would smoke while laying in bed or sitting in bed. You know what I mean? Well, in truth, by the time, pardon me, by the time I was smoking as an adult, when I was living on my own, there was only like 2 places where I smoked indoors, because by that time they were starting to poo-poo that. So we were going outside to smoke.
Yeah.
See,
all the time.
I
And then the law
smoked
changed.
outdoors before they started poo-pooing it, just out of general respect myself, because
Right.
even in my dorm room where they put all the smokers together so we wouldn't bother each other, and they smoked in the living room and everything else. My first year, I actually was able to have my own room, and what I did is I didn't smoke in my room. And I didn't pay for a dryer. I would wash my clothes downstairs. I would bring them up, and I would hang them out in my room. And I wouldn't smoke in my room. I'd smoke in the living room. And
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I still do that. When I wash my clothes, I don't dry them. I hang them up in my bathroom. I hang them on the shower curtain rod and let them
most
dry, and then I
wonderful
put
thing
everything away.
was you go into that living room, and there's this cloud of smoke about face high.
Yes, yes.
And you got, mist in front of the TV, but then I open up the door to my bedroom, and there's this smell of like spring detergent in the air and shit, and there's no smoke anywhere. Because I noticed that my clothes were washed and impregnated with smoke, and they smelled bad, even
Right.
though they were clean.
Yeah.
Because they were
Right.
lying there, and they'd get smoke all over them, and that
Yep.
just fucking sucks. So
Right.
there are certain habits that you learn to mitigate the problems.
Right.
See, and I smoked in
Right.
the
I
house
see
for many
Ariel
moons,
in there, out in the audience there. Linda, welcome. Ariel, welcome. Denise, welcome. If you guys are out in any of the audiences out there, and you guys got to say hello
Yes,
to us so
thank
we
you.
know you're here. Otherwise, we just see numbers. So we don't know who's there in the audience, right?
Yes, if you have.
And we're interactive, you guys.
if you
Remember
have
that. So we will
comments
ask
on-
questions. Okay, so let's go to the topic. So our topic today is the Tao, the way, right? The Tao Te. How do you say that? The Tao Te Ching. Am I
the
saying that right?
Tao, the way, the everything and the nothing.
It means the way,
all
right?
of it. Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So we're kind of talking about that today because it's really something to look at, because I've talked about this many times, and it's not me only thing I'm saying is, hey, look, I've noticed that all of these people throughout history are saying the same thing, and that's weird because we have like Christianity and we have Jesus telling the same story that these other people told, but these other people told it after him, and then there was many people who came before him. And
Yeah.
I have noticed that I believe that it was the same spirit in almost every one of those cases. And I could be wrong. This is my opinion purely. But it's because the Jesus factor is what I call it, because the last time that entity came through on this earth, it went by the name Jesus. Jesus was the given name. So if you look in history even further back, and when we're talking about the Tao, if you guys don't know about that, that was in 604 BCE, right? Or BC if you're Christian, right? So
Yeah.
that was 400 years before Jesus was even born. And there was a gap in there that went back because, prior to that, you look at 1,000 years earlier or somewhere around then when it was in Mesopotamia. And then the Egyptian version when Ra came through and they did that experiment, that was, in between there. So I'm not trying to downplay Christianity in any way. What I'm trying to say is if you read all of these texts, you find that they're all saying the same thing exactly. So the fundamental question becomes, if they're all saying the same thing throughout time in many different places, is it the same reoccurring soul that's coming here? Because it's not that they're doing something
that ends up resonating with them. And
right,
it's like whenever you strum a guitar, you might
right.
have different guitars, but if you know the combination because the resonance is there, they'll play the same tune. It depends on who's playing the instrument.
Right. Well, that's my deeper point. That's where I was going with that. That's my deeper point. Because is it the same soul or is it a separate souls finding the same like he said, the same frequencies and the same knowledge, and they're plucking the same chord, right? It's like two people standing. Like a perfect example is the intro to Judas Priest's video. I can't think of the name of it right now. I think it's Victim of Changes. It might be. Don't quote me. Where they both come in at the same time. They're playing different guitars, and they come in and they're playing the exact same solo on different guitars. Right. And so they're made different. They sound different, but they're hitting the same chords. And you see like KK Downing, he's down here about halfway, right? Fretting about halfway down. And then you see Glenn Tipton, and he's further up. He's only about a quarter of the way down. And they're on the same string. But it depends on the guitar and how they're wired and how they're tuned.
No, it's also the harmonics because
different positions,
scale,
but same.
They're on an
same
8
note.
above.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So my point here is that that everything is achievable, and people need to understand that you don't have to just understand one technique, that you really should take a look at every technique, because the whole purpose of this experience that we're having is to experience.
Let me ask you a question. If you're going to be listening to a piece by Mozart, for example, are you going to pay attention exclusively to the violin, or are you going to listen to the flute? Or are you just going to isolate the clarinet to see if they're doing a good job? It's the entire orchestra together that makes the music.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So we have to realize that, and this is the point of this conversation, is that, the point of the way is to understand what the way is. And everybody who's been trying to explain the way, I even started writing a book called The Way before I knew that in 604 BCE, some Chinese philosopher wrote a book called The Way. Right. So now I'm like, I don't need to write that book. It's already written.
And
the only thing I need to do is like give my opinion. Right. So do I write another book just because that nobody has written one since then called The Way? Who knows? Right. But the point is,
I'm writing my book, and as I'm researching it, I'm finding that there are 50 other authors that have done something very similar, and I'm like, why? Why? Because it's my version.
Because it's my version. Because it's personal. It's my version. So we have to realize that. What does that translate to? What does that translate to in life? Well, in life, it translates to just that. You guys are all out there. You're supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to be finding that in you. Right. We say that a lot to people, we're the savior you're waiting for, or you are the savior that you are waiting for, more importantly. Yeah. Right. And so that's kind of what we're,
highlight Ariel's comment in there, because that really has to be said tonight. It is absolutely true.
Which one? Which comment?
The last one on YouTube.
Okay. Right there.
Right there.
There we go. So she
was
says, for
actually
those of
talking
you,
about Norma, and she was wanting to call attention that Norma is looking exceptionally.
You're not a
Prepped.
thorn, though.
Thank you. And no,
Tonight?
you are not.
So
I'm
that's
trying
that
new
was
things,
so.
so I was actually a little insecure. I appreciate the compliment.
no, that's exactly why I wanted to bring it up because you do look good tonight. So I thank you very much. And that was a very considerate comment was made earlier before, but we passed right on
Yes.
through it. So I wanted to make sure that it was highlighted before we go on.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Leo, go on, please. I interrupted about the orchestra and how.
no, that's okay. Peter Coyle is in the audience. Welcome, brother.
Yes.
He says hello.
Hey, buddy.
So yeah, okay. So the truth is that each one of us individually needs to get to that place and understand that. So it's really hard because a lot of times people get indoctrinated. I was. I mean, come on, let's be serious. I was baptized in 2001 or 2002. I was knighted in 2004. I was pretty gung ho, right?
Right.
So
Right.
it took me a few years.
Well, you come across these certain things,
that
you don't
it's
even
not
think twice.
just that I don't need to keep myself in just that box. That
Right.
expanding
Right.
my consciousness was more important because I was realizing that was the proper way to expand your mind and
Right.
consciousness. And so I want to kind of talk about that and get your guys' opinion on that because we can't say it enough. We can.
Right.
What we have are tools that we're trying to show
Yes.
you guys. We're trying.
Yes.
That's why you always see that people always do that picture with the hand coming out. And there's something in the hand, either floating or that's what that symbol means. It's somebody who's trying to hand you knowledge, trying to show you something. A lot of times you'll see a crystal ball. A lot of times you'll
Here's
see
the water,
world,
right?
So it's very symbolic that that's a gesture of first of all, palms up. I'm not trying to harm you. And then it's, I'm trying to give you knowledge. And the problem is that we all don't pick that up. That's why when you see like that famous Sufi, I don't know his name though, but he was the one that was trying to be awake and trying to wake up and his whole life, and he's reading everything. And when he finally woke up, he took his books and burned them all because he realized that it was right there in front of him and that everything was there to help him, and he just didn't see it. And he didn't need all that guidance from all those books because he found out that the way is there, it's yours. And you have to find out your true path. So I'd like to go around. Let's go around the room with Aaron because he started talking. So Aaron, go, brother. I want to hear your opinion. Then
I feel like
and then we'll go to Mike.
If anybody's ever,
I'm muted because I got dogs, neighbor dogs that are barking, and I didn't want to bother anybody.
I can't hear him, man, at all.
I can't hear him either, brother.
But
really,
yeah, I think really book
faintly,
is the Tao
is faintly hear
really,
something. But go. I'm sorry, Aaron. Go ahead. Sorry, brother.
Okay, so by even going to the like thinking about it, by even like trying to break it down, by like what I'm doing right now is actually taking away from it because me trying to explain it is actually
giving it
misplaining
more than
you know what I mean? I'm not doing it justice by explaining it, but I did want to read a couple of quotes. Oh, where'd they go?
Did you miss?
Right here. Okay.
Same thing happens to me sometimes. You're like, I just had it ready. What
I do it all the time.
Lao Tzu is the author, and Lao Tzu is kind of a mysterious person anyway because
there's not much on him.
And the thing is, when they talk about the Tao, they say
but Confucianism doesn't come from him as well.
So there's a balance.
The Tao and Confucianism, aren't they the same one? Isn't Lao Tzu both?
They're similar, but they're different.
It's similar, but
they came out around the same time, I believe.
Yeah,
it was around the same time. It wasn't too far apart in time, but he had
really,
a different outlook.
Yeah, if you look
at
it,
it was
made for it was made for leaders. It was made for people that lead people. Or and you can use this in your own life.
Or for just trying to explain.
I just went over this in the metaphysical mystics class that I teach once a week, and we went over it like 3 or 4 weeks. And just the way that if you're really feeling rigid in your spirituality, or it's a good place if you start, because I know everybody goes through this thing where they kind of their belief system is challenged.
Right.
I know I've been through it
many times.
And what it does is just forces you to look deeper. And there was a time in my life when I felt like really rigid. Like I was feeling like kind of psychosis, and from doing a lot of the like astral work that I was doing, I started to believe all of it too much and started to, which not to say it's not believable, but
right. But
I'm living here on Earth right now. Like this is where my consciousness is mostly right now. So at least for me, I mean, we can go deeper than that, but we're just talking about the Tao. But, there was a couple of quotes that I was just looking over, like Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. And that's really what it comes down to. Those who do not speak, those who speak do not know. So those who do not speak know. Those who speak, you know what I mean? It's really, really interesting shit. Like truth is not always beautiful, nor beautiful words the truth.
Right.
I mean, just really simple ways. Like you could just open the book, look at it for an affirmation. I mean, it's a tool.
Like I said, I've studied the Tao, and it is beautiful. And on a simplistic personal community basis, for an individual basis, it's absolutely fantastic. Because yes, in those cases, it does lead you well. Now, as I mentioned in chat, it breaks down whenever you consider 7.5 billion people and the diversity that we have. There's
well, see, I think
once you get into a certain area of the Tao, but in essence, yes. I mean, that's why probably about 2 billion people study Taoism through different sectors and everything else. Why? Because it feeds and leads into all the other religions of the area that fed off of the Tao first, my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, and I think to get back real quick, and then I want to get Norma's take on it, but I think that to your point that it breaks down on a mass scale, I think that anytime you try to take an organized a philosophy and try to make it work for a lot of people, now you're trying to get into like a politics, you're trying to incorporate it in the mass minds of the people. I think all of them break down when you try to do that. And again, this might only be my opinion, but I don't think there's any one philosophical way of thinking that can ever conquer the planet. And I think that's the reason for that it's not supposed to.
The organized religions are the problem because they always want to be power centers because everybody wants to centralize the power, and therein lies
that's my point.
That's where they all break down. But in general terms of philosophies and everything else, I was mentioning the red words. I'm not talking about the 66 books or the 5,000 pages or whatever, just the red words that are in 4 little books in the beginning.
Right.
Okay. Those, you take those and break those down, you could actually expand those to 7.5 billion people and have a stable, sustainable society. Without judgment.
Only if the only way you can do that is that you have to now take the evil people who are trying to centrally locate all power out of the equation. As long as we have the ego, that will never happen because those people will ultimately every time try to position themselves and maneuver themselves into a place of power to take control to get money.
Yep.
Right. So that's why it breaks down because of that. I don't think anything can be successful 100% because everyone has to choose for themselves. Right.
Human greed is something that makes everything break down over time.
Yeah.
Because, one wanting to be superior over the other. And at the same time, there's the argument to some do actually work harder than others, and do they not deserve recognition for that effort? And there's the tug and push and pull throughout that argument throughout time, and it's where do you leave it? And the thing is, you focus on yourself, not on everybody else, and not on the world, and you're not competing with those guys. You're not competing with those guys. You're competing with yourself because you want to be better tomorrow than you were yesterday. And that is our objective, making ourselves better every day with a certain focus and objective, a way, the truth, the life, and the way that will allow us to find the best version of ourselves and walk that path for however long we actually have on this planet. Kind of, sort of.
Right. Speaking of that, did you guys?
Well, I feel like the Tao is more that it's more nature, right? It's teaching you how this planet works, how to actually function peacefully on this planet, and how you can,
with your spirit.
I feel like it's one of those books where anyone could open it up and go, oh, okay, I get something from this, right? I don't look at a lot of things where I kind of feel like I'm a little weird because I do hold on to things. I'm a big holder on to her, but at the time I don't hold on to too much, like in mind, right? Like there's certain things that I learned growing up just were fed to me that I realized, even though I battled as a younger person, as I got older and pressures kind of get on you, the stamina of being in this life kind of hit you. I fell into certain things, right? And then I go, wait a second, I didn't believe in the first place. Why did I start believing that, right? It's about knowing you, right? And finding those tools, those words, those books, those scriptures, those ways in which you flow in your life to where you can look back and say, well, I did my best, right? the way they see me or the way they took that is that's not, it's not on me unless I have truly stepped into their realm and done something, right?
Yeah.
True story.
And
right?
I've
See, and
got
that's,
one more thing.
I think that's.
I wanted
Go
to
ahead.
add to what you said.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I could.
Yeah.
And it is like, as I see it, it's more about knowing how much we are all connected to, like how much of a force, like the force, like the life force that runs all of us, and really learning how to tap into that a little better. By from what this
like
book
Leo
is
always
teaching,
says, we are the creator seeing his creation through different perspectives, and so we are all the same eyes looking at the world from a different view, all learning to love each other, respective of our different views, and trying to find one resonance.
And I think that the propaganda tries to keep us critiquing each other instead of, like you were saying, instead of giving praise for someone to learn something and get that a different perspective. Everybody tries to slam the door shut and say, no, you can't go that way because you can't do that on your own. You have to do the way we're telling you. You know what I mean? And I think that's that's part of what they're doing to corrupt the religions to keep people from.
Well, they've done that for a long time, really, by even like when religions are created, but by giving by giving us people outside of ourselves to focus on. If you could just do it like that, if you just do it this way, they know the right. If you just do that, they're going to save you.
And when they start saying that shit,
you got to
know you're in a cult.
Well, it's not even just that. You got to know inside of yourself that you're seeing yourself as a lack or weak or unable or you're seeing yourself smaller than or outside of this thing, right? And then that's
them trying to take you off your blue level, because we all have a personal destiny that we were born here to execute. And so the adversary's job is to take us off our course so that we cannot execute our ultimate purpose.
Distraction. And you know what? And we also have to get past the idea that we've only been here for a short time. Literally, they just carbon dated a skull, which is the earliest skull known to the human race to ever be found. It was found in Denmark in a lava field, and it was dated. And you can look this up on the news. It was dated to 230,000 years ago. So they have actual physical proof that we humans were on this planet with the skeletal structure almost identical to what it is now. 230,000.
Well, they're arguing about the Sphinx as well and how they've aged it throughout the years.
Well, the Sphinx was 15,000 years old. They've already established that.
No, the Sphinx is much older than that. That's been disputed.
Oh yes.
Yeah, they're starting to figure out that it's
Robert
old.
Schock started disputing that. And
that's right. They went from 3,000 to 15,000 because of the erosion studies.
You have to realize that I've spoken to these guys. I've interviewed a couple of them. That what they're showing is that it was there when the desert was a plush green area, and that was 129,000 years ago. It wasn't 15,000 years ago.
Water erosion.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 129,000.
Which is what both talks about in the Emerald Tablets when it was green. When it was a green.
And that was 120. That was 125 to 130,000 years ago, even according to Thoth.
Right after they left Atlantis, so that was a long time ago.
Yep.
Right.
It's a lot further back than everyone thought. And originally they thought it was tighter towards the beginning. I remember back about 20 years ago, they were thinking maybe we didn't live, because at first, you go back 30 years and no one believed we've been on this planet for more than 3,000 years. And then they had to say, oh, well, maybe 10. And now they're kind of tinkering with, okay, we'll take 12. But the truth is we've been on this planet for now. We know we have a skull that they carbon dated that has 230,000 years ago, a human that looked just like us. And it was a female, died in a lava river. And the bones.
What they try to do is they come up with a scenario and they just try to make everything fit it, as opposed to, well, here's what we found. Now, what is it telling us?
And some just hide it.
Right?
Exactly. It's not science. It's them manufacturing their opinion and grabbing the data that they want.
Well,
the Maya have already told us we are in the 5th cycle of humanity. That those big wheels and everything else, each one of those is a human cycle. Why? Because there's extinction level events usually whenever they do that crap.
Well, according to Mike, I don't mean to interrupt, but according to the Aborigines in Australia, we've been here 7 times, not just 5.
Wow. Yeah. All right,
7.
Because
we're
the
on the 7th cycle.
is now finding the 6th mass extinction with so many animals that have died over the last less than 50 years. that are becoming.
Well,
How
yeah,
about
if
how
you
far
look
back
at-
can we find? Like, really, how far back can we even date? You know, I
Right.
think
Well, see, that's
the
exactly
work
it.
I've
If you
done,
look
like
at what,
things I've looked into,
yeah,
we've been like people have been on this fucking planet for millions of years,
Yeah.
dude.
right now I've been told that too, Aaron.
Yeah.
Through
To
each
Aaron's
cycle, there's been
credit,
a
I have
human.
people
So, but-
telling me that
But
the
what
humans have
happens?
been on
Why
this
are we
planet
not
for
as
like 2
evolved as we
billion
should
years.
be after a million years?
We do evolve. We
Yeah.
do evolve, and then we get reset.
Yes.
And we evolve, and then a massive.
That's what
extinction
happens.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they did a documentary that 20 years after mankind on the History Channel about 10 years ago or so, and they show that if we're not there, right,
Everything
if
breaks
literally
down.
if humans just disappear, then the nature just overruns the cities and the cities just
Oh
disappear.
yeah, you
Look
see
at
it. They
COVID.
do it in time lapse, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, goes up to 120 years. All the buildings have collapsed. Even the concrete is seeded and trees have taken over everything. And you've got, animals running over the asphalt.
Yeah. I mean, look what COVID did. COVID had animals coming into the cities because humans weren't outside doing anything. So all of a sudden, people are going outside and there's bears running around and bobcats running around all over the United States, all over the world. And that was just because we were in lockdown. So imagine that we just disappeared, right? Say we have a planet
I feel like
event.
it looked like what's that movie with Will Smith?
Oh gosh, what is that one?
Oh God, the one with the zombies, right?
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
that was a good movie.
That was a great movie.
That was a good movie.
That was good. Right, that was really good. But it's looking more like Soylent Green these days.
Everybody's been saying that, but I never watched that, so I don't know what they're talking about.
I never watched it, but I did see the previews, and it was pretty creepy.
Are you talking about Soylent Green, or are you talking about?
Soylent Green is one that I
here, let me tell you what it's a Charlton Heston movie.
Dude, find the thing and share it, man. Find the trailer. It's creepy,
right? Yeah, let me do that, and I'll put that in the chat. So while I'm doing that, because now I have to relog into YouTube. Earlier, when I thought that was my music, I turned it off. I closed all windows, thinking that it was one of mine. This is before we went on air, guys. You guys didn't know about that, but so I closed YouTube. I had it open. So let me get in there. So while I'm doing this and getting back into YouTube here, it's a Charlton Heston movie.
It
took place.
Got 6 watching. Hit that like button. I was just telling people to hit that like button. We got 6 people watching and 1 like. Help us out in the algorithm. We need to get up.
Yeah,
more people.
Like it. Sure.
Yeah, wait till you guys see this. I mean, this came out in what, the 70s, late 70s?
1973. I was thinking it was in the 60s, but it's right here. It says 1973. So here's the classic trailer. Hold on, let me grab this and I'll.
The trailer took me out. I didn't even see it. A couple years ago, I saw it, but I didn't even see the car chase in the Steve McQueen movie. What's that called? Bullet. I didn't see that. Not Bullet. The other one. It's the other one where he's chasing that dude in the Camaro.
No, that
in
is
San Francisco.
Bullet. That is.
Is it Bullet? Yeah. That is a great car scene. Still is.
Okay, so I dropped it in the chat. So on Facebook and YouTube, you guys see the link to that.
Yeah,
it's a 3-minute video. So Charlton Heston's in it, and he's kind of starts getting on to the cabal in the background in this movie, and he's trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And basically the governmental system at the time is where this governmental system on the planet is going towards. Okay, so it was very prophetic. That they made this movie in the 70s, and now it's actually kind of happening. So what they do is they have this product, right? We have a jibber jabber, but they have this product. It's called Soylent Green, and it's food that they're creating, like we have for like the astronauts. Remember when they had all the squeezy food that you would eat, right? So they have this food, and they're trying to get everybody to eat this particular food, and it has all the sustenance and everything you need in it, all the stuff to be perfectly healthy, and everybody's buying into it. And he's investigating and doesn't. He's not trusting of the government, and they're coming after him because he's getting too close to knowing something. And if I tell you the end, it ruins the whole movie.
I know, huh?
Right? Yeah. If I tell you, I can tell, but I'll tell you the end anyway. But people who don't want to know the end, mute the television right now. If you don't want to know the end of that, you want to watch that movie, mute this, because I'm about to give you the the rundown
Don't
of
watch
what
it before you
actually
go to bed,
happens.
y'all.
Mike
Holy
doesn't want to
shit.
know. Look, Mike's muting his microphone. Okay, so for those of you who are willing to listen, in the end, he goes into the factory where they're making Soylent Green, and he finds out that they're taking the humans and they're converting all the humans into Soylent Green and feeding us back to ourselves.
I mean,
I'm
that's
thinking of
probably
a cartoon
McDonald's,
that
dude.
actually
That is,
replaced
that
that.
is
Actually,
so
McDonald's right
freaking
now.
Matrix-like,
The
because
Venture
that's
Brothers
exactly what they
actually
mentioned in the
made
Matrix. The problem is that
one
cannibalism
that had-
causes serious problems in the brain and evolutionary, and within 2 or 3
Right.
generations, you got the twitches like a motherfucker, and you are a zombie looking for brains.
Yeah.
That's some fucked up shit.
Yeah.
Right. Well, see, they do say that. Now, I don't know that there's been any proof of that, but they use that in the Book of Eli. Remember when they went to the old couple's house? Mila Kunis said that their hands are shaking, and he said that's because they're eating human meat. And I think we're the next target. Remember?
I mean, if they could have a total, if the power
That's
elites,
exactly what I was
the ones
thinking
that
about, Leo.
gab us
Thank
right
you.
now,
Right.
the WEF, right, that think that they just are going to make all this. This is how shit's going to go, and you're just going to have to like it. And that's, one thing we need to talk
Oh,
about.
but they've already
I just
told
put
us
it in
the
the
Great
hashtag,
Reset.
so-
You're going to own nothing, and you're going to be happy.
They're meeting right now, y'all, to
Yeah.
decide what us little plebs are going to be doing for the next few years.
No.
At least for the next
They've
year.
already tried to kill us, and
Yep.
tomorrow
If they could have,
big events are coming.
Yep.
Let
The
us
German
stop trying to
study
kill us,
is talked about, but I don't want to talk about the stuff because I don't want to get your channel taken down.
Right.
But all the stuff
Right.
about the
Algorithm.
Jabberwopper
Prank
is
caller.
Japan, Germany, Norway. They've all basically said don't do it anymore, and they're opening up investigations and other things.
Yep.
We've already got the president of P with the F and the Zer has been indicted for fraud. And then we've
Yes.
got the political.
There's two others that had
false-
to step down from 2 other countries for the same thing.
And
Well,
then
here's
we've
the
got-
rub, Mike. You haven't seen that video yet. In that video that I linked, you guys, I can't link this
How is that
video.
different from McDonald's, Leo?
Not much. That's my point, bro. So here,
Yeah.
just check this out. So in that video that I
Bring it
just
up,
linked,
frozen
that I
food
will
you
not, I can't link to you guys out there in the world because it'll get taken down really quickly. Actually,
Yeah.
I probably could, but I have to check with them before I do this because this is a limited release to coalitions. So far, I don't have the authority to put it to the mass public. However, I could probably get that, and if I do, you'll see the link. I'll put it in the chat here, or I'll post it on the Skull Island page. Okay, so
There
the
we go.
video that I just sent to our people in the all of us here, I put it in our chat room. In there, the scientists prove that the only way all of this could have taken place the way it did, and talking about this pandemic, the only way that all of this could have taken place the way that it did is that the leaders of every single country had to sign on prior to.
Lockstep, brother. Remember that
Well-
document?
Lockstep, absolutely.
Well, let's take
Rockefeller
away the
controls
proof. Let's just look at things the way it goes. We go and invade every country that isn't in alignment with us, right?
Right.
No, it's
And
every
then we-
country that is in alignment with the shit we want from their land,
Or whatever.
from their
Okay.
resources.
Yeah.
If we ain't get what we want,
That's what it's
we
all
go
about.
and we invade.
Yeah.
What makes us think that we're just sitting there being good little people, making sure they fucking behave? No,
Yep.
we're inserting ourselves everywhere we need to be in every little place. And I say we because it's like a big thing, and who really knows?
The allies?
Whatever. But yeah, it is a big mass takeover.
It's a big mass.
People have been put in
cluster.
certain places for certain reasons, and they're doing their job.
And they'll probably push. It's going to be like the Green New Deal now, and the green
Yep.
shit.
They're gonna make it sound
'Cause this
really
is all
great and
connected,
lovely.
so-
Yep.
They're trying to put us as stakeholder capitalism, which is
Right.
basically all these big stakeholders. They get what they want. They're gonna, really kind of get together and own. They want to try to buy up all the land, all the housing. BlackRock. They've bought up a lot of housing
We'll
and
own nothing and
real
be
estate
happy.
in the last couple of years because the shit's going cheap. Or even if it's going high, they're still buying it up because they have the money because they're backed by the government.
But see, here's the problem with that. I don't mean to interrupt, but right here I kind of have
Right.
to, and because this is what people actually need to realize is that okay, first, all of this is just an illusion, so
Yeah.
none of it is real. So because none of it's
Yes.
real, they don't really own the land. Do you understand?
Right.
The Native Americans and all Native indigenous people, they still have the old world mindset. Nobody owns this place. You just because you have a piece
Yeah.
of paper that your next door neighbor scrolled
true.
on and
Right?
said you own. Here's the deed to that land. You own it. Somebody, he's together in cahoots with this guy, right? I'm going to
Mhm.
start a company that patents your stuff, right? So I'm
Yeah.
going to certify when you say you own something that you own it. Right. And so then
Right.
you get paid by them to certify that. And the only way that works is that everybody has to believe that guy knows what he's talking about. And then
Right,
he's the
right.
guy who decides who owns everything. Do you understand?
Right.
That's
Yeah, I
like
know.
saying that we're never going to get disclosure from the federal government about aliens. Where is it written and when did it get in your head that the only way aliens exist is because the United States federal government told you so?
Right.
Yeah.
And that if they don't tell you, then it's not real. Right? That's what they
Right.
want you to believe. They want you to believe that nothing is real unless they say so. And only what
Right,
they say
right,
is real is
right.
real. So they say, we own all of this and you're our slaves. No,
Yes.
you don't own all
Yeah.
of this. And no, I am not your slave. And you
Own a
can't do
car,
anything
but I
to
pay
me.
my taxes.
Well,
So
how
what
do
they
you- how
can
do
do,
you
the
keep
only
people
thing
from
they can
actually
do is
expelling
come
you from
grab
your own
my
land?
body, kill it, or put me in prison. I'm still
Yeah.
free. You just have me locked in a box, and now you're paying for me to have 3 meals, a hot
Yep.
and a cot.
Yep.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. You're just limiting how many people I can tell on to
Yeah.
about you. That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's all you're doing. And these days, if you're in an American prison, you can get rich. I can write books. I can teach myself law.
Right.
I can become a doctor, and I'll get paid for it. So what about
Yes.
this incentive program is
I
bad
know.
that you're going to put me in a prison? Oh, because everybody in there is hardened criminals and they all want to kill each other. That's kind of going
I mean,
on
of
out
course,
here too.
I don't want to be in prison. Just to
I
let
mean,
everybody
yeah.
know that I'm not.
Right.
I'm cool with that.
But no, I mean, yes,
It's less,
you're right.
It does suck. I mean, I've never been to prison, but I took a vacation to the county jail one
I have
time
not done that.
for
Right.
a couple days, and
I've been in detention.
that
as a
was
minor,
enough for
and
me
that
to
was
go.
enough for me.
Okay,
It-
this was my
about 8 hours was enough for me to realize that I
Yeah,
didn't want to
dude.
be going
Oh.
back into that. And,
Yeah.
I did
and
it
wanna
in
go
Leo,
to
in that case,
And when I
no,
was like
they're
14,
they have the
15, and that
opportunity
was
to become a lawyer
enough for
and
me.
write a book if you use your time wisely.
Yes.
However,
Right.
usually they're not using their time wisely.
Well, because we've
otherwise
never
they
been taught really how to
fucking
do that,
be
right?
in jail.
Right.
And they
Yeah.
don't want
If
to
they
teach
knew
us
how to
that
use their
either.
time wisely, they wouldn't fucking be in jail. So
Right. They
that's-
wouldn't. Exactly. Absolutely. 100%. I agree with you. Yeah, but
Yeah,
there are times when
That's
people,
true. I mean,
you know,
really, if they did know how to use their time wisely, I mean, and maybe some of them have, and got away with it for a long time, and then they're like, "Fuck."
Hey,
okay,
they
I'm
might
gonna-
retire better than I do. I mean, holy fuck,
right? You never know, right? Yeah, out in the crowd there, they're talking about the tsunami. Yeah, I saw the damage out here on the west coast of America that was done in some of the ports, and that was mild compared to other places where it was pretty bad. I hear that in the Philippines, I think it was somewhere down there close by where it was, that they had like a 30-foot wave that came in. So yeah, there was some
Damn.
tsunamis. It was a volcano that erupted
12,
underneath
no joke,
the
man.
ocean.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, Marf's had a video that showed that it wasn't necessarily. Oh, sorry. No, Carl, last night on mine, he had a video showing that there was a missile that may have caused that, not necessarily a volcanic
Well,
explosion.
see, and that's,
So we are in the
another
time
thing.
of
You never know what the hell.
They
going
know
on with
how
that
to
shit. Like,
manipulate the weather. They know
Yep.
what they're doing.
Yep.
They can make certain
Yep.
things happen.
they have.
Well, that's because,
undersea-
guys, they know
we are
that
in
we
the
control the Matrix.
Anthropocene. We are in the time of this planet to where humanity can affect the evolution of the planet itself
Yep.
more than
Yep.
any other thing around. That's why they're calling this an Anthropocene, because we are the
Which
biggest
is why the
influence
powers
to
that be
what
want
happens
to
on this
minimize
planet.
it, kill things off,
Yeah.
take
Right.
it down, ruin the history, make it where we're lost little puppy dogs on the constant forever. It's kind of sad. Recognize
Right.
that and see that, or know when someone's actually
Right.
trying
So
to.
to
Even if
answer
they're telling you
Ariel's
something,
question,
if you kind of feel like they're trying to take something from you, pay attention.
to answer Ariel's question, if she's actually being legit, no, I did have a yacht, and yes, I was the captain of it, and it was called the Whiskey Six. I have pictures. I've shown it to Aaron.
I like that.
I think Mike saw it too. Yeah, but if that's what you're meaning, but yeah, I did have a 30-foot sailing yacht, and it was badass. It was a race car. It was a Corvette of its time. The guys who created the keel on that. In fact, it's still to this day. It was made in 1972. To this day, the keel is still considered to be theoretical, and I had to pay a shit ton of money to get it insured. The guys who created the keel for the ship that won the America's Cup for the United States the first time, they made this yacht first as a test subject to see the shape of the keel and it's a short draft keel. It's only 6 feet. I can sail in 6 foot of water or more. So the sailing ship that I had could go into freshwater and seawater. So I could sail anywhere around the world in the highest seas, and I wouldn't capsize because of the keel that's there. So it was pretty badass what I was doing.
You fucking rock, Leo. Listen to you, man.
It was pretty badass. We were going against the wind coming up.
Heck yeah.
We're going north.
That's why he's our captain, man. You're the
we were
first
going north against the
I'm
wind,
the motherfucker swabbing the deck.
Right, seriously, we're going north against the wind coming from San Diego on the way up here to the Bay Area. North against the wind with no tack. Well, we were tacking. We were doing 6 knots, and then we turned on the diesel. And so that was upwind, going downwind. Now, to give you guys a comparison, like if you saw Pirates of the Caribbean, they were sailing a 150-foot pirate yacht, a sloop,
right.
And they were achieving with 3 masts, all sheets to the wind. They were going 6 knots. So I had a 30-foot yacht that was capable of the speed of a 100-foot yacht. Okay, I know these guys who have a 52-foot.
What does 6 knots relate to miles per hour?
A knot, that's about, it's pretty slow. It's about 45, 50 miles an hour on land.
Yeah, but that's fast on the water, dude. That's fast.
That's fast on the water. That's hella fast on the water. We were doing 12 knots downwind.
On the waters,
You could pull a water skier behind that, dude. Like behind a sailboat. That's awesome.
Yeah, in fact, I've watched the guys from Delos do just that. They have a 52-foot or 53-foot sailing yacht, and I watched them getting up to 8 knots going downwind, and they had 3 people on skis behind.
Hell yeah.
I've not done a lot of water sports.
It was pretty badass. So, I did. I had that. I got rid of it though because I'm taking care of my mom now. So I'm up here, and I moved off of my yacht with my mother to take care of her. And everyone's like, "Dude, you got rid of I can get a yacht. It's just stuff. I can get it again. I can get another one." But it was fun. It was fun to sail that.
I bet
it would go over so close you would think it was going to capsize, and that sucker just wouldn't.
I dream of RVing.
It looked pretty. It looks pretty sturdy, dude.
Like,
it's got a pretty wide base, or what would you call that?
Yeah, and it's sat. You can't get into it if you're in the water. You can't get into it without a ladder. It sat, 6 feet off the water. That's how high it rode. The cockpit was, 6 foot up is the deck from the water, unless it's tilted over.
A good movie about ships in the sea is Master and Commander, dude. Have you seen that?
I love that movie. One of my favorite movies.
Oh my god, that dude! It starts out, dude. The way it starts out, that's what hooks you right away.
Dude, it's just in the
when
fog.
They get attacked by pirates, dude. Oh my god!
Whoosh, whoosh. Yeah, bro.
Like he's like man of war. He's looking in the clouds and with his telescope, or what do they call those, periscopes? No, telescope. Yeah. And he's looking, and he looks, and he just sees the shadow. He comes back, and you see it right in the periscope lens.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you just start seeing
you just start seeing the gun flashes.
Oh my god, dude! That was a great scene, dude. That was that whole movie, the whole way.
The cinematography was great.
Yeah, I mean, just the way they got beat up right off the bat, and then they had to rebuild on the water, out in like Tahiti or something.
Very realistic. Well, you know that movie happened in real life, right? That's a true story.
Wow,
that really happened. So that's why when you see the kid that got his arm cut off, and he said that he was related to Sir Nelson. That was Sir Nelson's grandson.
Admiral Nelson. Yep, that's
Admiral Nelson's
grandson. Admiral Nelson. Yep.
Yeah, so that was true, and he actually knew and met and sailed under. And Admiral Nelson used to be the captain of that ship first. That was his commission when the current captain, was an ensign. He was sailing with Nelson on that ship, and then Nelson became a commodore, and eventually, got even bigger.
It's kind of a man show. It's not really made for women, but some women would love it. I mean, if you like the sea and you like sailing, you like any of that. Like
I enjoyed the cinematography.
You'd like it.
An actor, I think, is kind of an asshole. I think his pompous every time
Russell
I see his
Crowe,
aura.
he's kind of an asshole.
So I don't know.
But who knows?
But it really was a good film.
Some of the people I thought were assholes in this whole bullshit.
Yeah, you never know.
No-vid bullshit. I'm like, wow. Because I saw a tweet today that said, if anything has come out of this pandemic, it's been you really get to know who your friends really are.
Right.
And really, you do. I mean, the celebrities you see that are just, in lockstep walking with everybody else on the mainstream. And then you see people like Eric Clapton, which I always thought was like a corporate prick. I mean, I loved his music, but I always thought he was a corporate prick, and he actually stood up and said something. Yeah. Probably because his life was in danger, and he was like, okay, wait a minute.
He changed when his son died. But then again, I don't some of his best
music where he wrote that song. Yeah.
Exactly. The memorial. I mean,
He said
the
a lot.
pain.
A lot of those blues musicians have tortured lives.
Right.
Like, it's kind of, it's
They
almost
learn
Well,
like
to
that's just like,
express
you
it
know,
through-
the saddest person
so
on the planet.
crossroads, man.
Yeah, you
See,
never know.
don't do
The
that.
saddest people on the planet are you know, are the guys that are
Artists,
clowns
comedians, yep.
and
Yep.
comedians. Yeah.
Yep.
And poets.
Well,
Most of the
that's
poets
just
have
it.
trouble.
Can you imagine a rapper coming out in a 3-piece suit going, "Yo, I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth.
Right.
My maid wiped my ass and my cook made my meals. Fuck
Right.
you,
I'd be like,
bitch,
okay.
because you ain't shit, because I'm here to rock this fucking place."
Right.
Boom.
Though.
No, the guy ain't gonna do
see-
shit. I mean, sorry.
Right.
Go live your life,
Well, that's
because
just
we
it.
got shit to deal
I
with.
utilize comedy and smartassery to help me get through certain things, you know, especially when I'm taking heavy blows. Because if you can't turn around and laugh at it, if you can't look and laugh, then you definitely have deeper healing, right? When you can turn around and kind of laugh at certain things, especially at your own little scenarios, trust me, they're so outside your control, you may never laugh at, but when you can find it in the situation or in the way that things are rolling, right? And you can just kind of laugh it off, you're already doing some kind of healing, right? Because it's hard to do that.
Laughter is the best medicine.
People
It
with
always
mental
was, 'cause
illnesses,
it elevates
it's
your
hard
resonance.
because really are stuck in certain places. Yeah. Well, see, and that's just it. With mental illness, I feel like people feel like they're stuck in certain place. Once they get a diagnosis, they're like, this is the way
It is a trap.
I'm
in a way.
only
That's
there.
a box.
It's true.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I know mental illness. I have my family. I know it. I'm intimate with mental illness. However, I also truly feel inside of myself. And this is why I say I don't know that I hold on to too many beliefs too tightly, because things change every day. We're growing, evolving peoples every moment. Every breath can be different, right? But I believe that once you learn how you work, right? Oh, okay, hang on. There's this part of me in my brain that likes to play the bad guy all the time. If you can learn how to play with your bad, oh, he's coming in when I'm really stressed, right? Oh, he's coming in because I'm feeling the pressure over here. When you start to understand
I
how
play with
you
my
work,
bad guy all the time.
right? You know what I mean? But when
Trying
you
to come
start to
back.
understand
Just
how
kidding.
you work, how your mind functions, even within the illness, you gain more balance, right? You don't necessarily have to have all those medicines that you may need different things to help balance yourself out. But you're not trapped in some space. You just need to learn how you work, when it's affecting you, how it's affecting you. Now, how to maneuver within this, right? It's finding the balance in who you are as a human being, whether you're dealing with some kind of physical ailment, mental ailment.
That goes back to what we're talking about. Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
That goes back to the way and all these different
Yeah.
fractured ideas that are all really the same. It's just being told from
Right.
a different perspective. And the truth is, all of those people were trying to tell us the same thing that you just said. That's what it's about. It's about us looking within ourselves and healing ourselves and realizing
Yes.
that.
What feels
Right?
right to you?
So,
right? What feels right to you? What do you What do you truly resonate with? It could be
Well, we
you're
got to
into
be careful
Wicca,
with that,
and you
Leo,
just
because
totally studied
somebody.
the. Go ahead.
But some people
ahead, Mike.
who actually resonate, because that's okay whenever people resonate similar to us. Do as thou
Yeah.
willst is a problem, and there are certain very bad cults that usually use that as their motto.
Well, that's because
Yes.
it was originally
Some
do what
people
thou
just
wilt,
want to
but
gut
harm
and kill
none.
people. And
See,
so you can't.
originally what they did was that was the same thing as taking the cross and turning it upside down and taking the star and
Yes.
turning it upside down.
Yep.
It was the
And that
same
was
thing.
that was
took
all his
the-
work
really.
from Hermes, and
Yeah.
they took the
They took
the
the
motto.
and
They took
Yeah.
the motto of "do what thou wilt, but harm none," and then the
Yeah.
satanic people dropped off the harm none part, and
Yeah.
so that
Right.
they could
what
manipulate
thou
it
wilt.
to in service to self. Do what thou wilt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So that's
Yeah.
like when they were alluding earlier to the pirate creed, when someone in the chat, and the pirate creed of take what you can, give nothing back. Right. That's not really what their creed was, but it was in a sense because they were taking from the rich and the elite and the cabal,
Yes.
and they didn't want to give
Well,
anything
see,
back,
and
and they were
I
actually
want to
giving
bring
it to
that
people.
down to like when
Yeah.
you look at some of our biggest like drug dealers or huge like mafia men or whatever, let's look through our history, right? And those ones that at least they've shown us that we know about, that we're aware were fucking awful people that did awful things, were also building up their neighborhoods. They were in service to those that they were serving, right? So they were doing horrible things over here
right.
to bring themselves in the
I mean,
position to help
which was
these
partly
over
like
here.
protection for
Right,
them,
and so
but They were doing good for the community.
And that's just it. You got
And that's the whole thing. Like, even the most people that you would perceive to be the most evil, a lot of those people actually have hearts, and they're just strange, or that you don't see. Like, now when we say the most evil, I'm talking serial killers. Those guys, yeah, those guys.
No, but for
Those are
example,
solitary
they're still
psychosis.
savable.
taking
They can
your
still
example
actually
right there
change
and
their route. And
using
it might take a couple hundred years, but they can eventually like grow from
Right.
that and become better people.
However, taking your example and putting it into a real world reality. For example, we have accountants and lawyers deciding our health and social policies.
which is
I
bullshit.
know, that's
right?
crazy.
So whenever you
and tech
take those
guys,
people,
too.
they can be nice people,
Yeah.
but their
Right.
function doesn't allow them
Oh no, yes.
to show their
Yes, I get what
compassion
you're
or
saying. You're talking
humanity.
about the imperialists.
And that's
the
what I was
fucking-
kind of saying.
You're talking about the top. You're
It
talking
can
about
look beautiful and
yes,
amazing and
the
sound
Davos
great
crowd.
and be great,
Davos, whatever.
but it
however
can
you say that.
everything has its polar. In this realm,
Everything
that
has
we
a
are existing in
value, and
today,
when you value a
everything has its
person,
polar.
somebody who's homeless is worthless, and someone who's a billionaire in China can be taken down. And just look at Jack Ma, the
Yep.
owner of Alibaba, the founder of PayPal, along with Musk. That guy disappeared. Nobody's seen or heard shit from that guy in a couple of months or 4 months.
Yeah.
Why? Because
Yeah.
he started getting high on his horse and started saying stuff against the ones that ruled his country. And that's
Right.
where we can't get to. And that's what they're trying to implement throughout
Yes,
the
they're
Yes.
trying to do
world.
that.
Absolutely.
Since 9/11, dude, they've been trying to do that with Homeland Security and all
Since
that.
Well,
before.
in truth,
They
bro,
set
they've
up
been
for-
doing that.
for
They've been doing that
domestic
forever.
terrorism
It's like
and
a
all-
slow, fast
and-
rollout,
and
right?
After 9/11, like
They're
and then
boiling the
Iraq after
frogs.
9/11 too. Like what?
No,
the fuck?
listen, guys. What you guys need to understand that it didn't just start. This happened. This has been going on forever, and this is the seventh
Yeah.
cycle.
Thousands of
Since
years.
the beginning.
This has
Yes.
been going on since the human race came to this planet, and it's just a cycle that
Mhm.
keeps repeating itself. And
Yep.
we change things slightly so that we have a different
Yep.
experience, but it's really the same thing that's happening.
Like I said, it's like
And
a
that's
slow
what we
fast
really
rollout.
need to do is stop buying into the reality that they're selling, and start saying
Yeah.
no.
Yes.
Because when we all do that,
Right.
they back off. And you guys don't realize the power that you have
Ugh.
and the collective power
Right.
that you guys have. You don't even have to start a war and go physical.
Mm-mm.
All you have to do is say no. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
The only
Yep.
thing they can do, they'll beat you over the head, put you in chains, put you in jail,
If
and
even
then
that,
they're going to
But here's
release
the
you.
thing,
And
they
you're
won't
going to get
even
out of
do that.
jail.
Yep. In the grand scheme of things, we see videos, and yes, that's happening. Like it's truly happening.
But because
in
that's only
places.
one or two people are
But-
standing up.
You know what?
If
I'm a
absolutely
boot virgin.
everybody
I ain't had any of that shit,
No, I mean,
Me either.
and
I didn't get my
I don't
life
wear
strapped because of
masks
it.
when I go into stores.
Neither do I.
Although there's
Yeah, I don't
90%
either.
of the people or 95% of the people are wearing them.
sometimes
And
makes
I'm
me
sorry
nervous,
if it
but-
scares you, but
right?
I study a little bit more than most of you do about how psyops work and how really how they can throw all this shit at us to
Yeah.
basically demoralize us
Right.
and basically make us their slaves,
And
which
like-
we don't want to allow. We
Right.
don't want to allow that.
I mean, and that's just it. Is finding that balance in that, right? Okay, so now I have something in my pocket at all times. If they're absolutely not going to let me purchase my purchase and it's a necessary purchase, I got that thing that I got to do. Okay, but no, I don't go into these places and trust me, especially when I was going to restaurants to pick up orders or whatever, and it can be uncomfortable. You got everyone just kind of looking at you like, how dare you, right? But you got to keep reminding yourself, well, I placed my order ahead of time so I could just pick up my order so that if you had a problem with it, you wouldn't have to deal with it. But guess what? You do. So do it, right? It's bringing yourself to that place where you're comfortable being you because knowing, okay, I'm not hurting anyone, right? I know they want me to believe I am because I went and sneezed or coughed or whatever that I've been doing for my 44 fucking years. I mean, I don't know
really,
how.
I've been
I mean,
sick.
quite
I've
frequently,
been
even.
felt deathly
right?
ill.
So, I mean, and all of a sudden, now I'm going to kill my grandma.
Yeah,
Wait,
Yeah.
hang on now.
you're gonna kill
Actually-
your grandma. It's to protect the kids. Like, why are they?
And
even
let me tell you something.
Why are they even protecting tobacco and
Right.
alcohol?
Why,
Yeah.
why are we
why
talking
is that
about
even-
this? Because
Well, when
this
it
will be
comes to my grandma,
problematic,
the
my
whole
friend.
grandma phase that I have
Hold
to
on,
say.
hold on.
I know.
Mike,
Sorry,
that's-
but yeah.
You got to be careful because this topic took one of my
touchy, I get it.
programs down. So
Wait a minute, I'm trying to
there's
bring it to
things
alcohol,
about this
tobacco, and
because-
firearms right now. We're bringing it to another topic that can fuck us over too. So we're just
Yeah,
gonna
well,
move.
look at the
We're gonna
rest-
move
what-
quickly.
My
like
red
pirates
pill
on the fucking
moment.
sea.
Well, I just
My
want to
red
say,
pill
like, with
moment
my
when I
grandma
stopped
and the
trusting
excuses
anybody
that
was
they
in
use.
'93 with the Branch Davidians, because I saw
Yeah.
the video, the VHS tape
Yep.
of fire
That
coming
was
out of the front of
crazy,
that
bro.
fucking tank. They
Yep.
I think we can
Yeah.
talk about that now.
Yeah.
So feel free.
put that place on fire, and they killed 32
Yes.
men,
Yep.
women, and
Yep.
children.
Children.
They trapped
And
them to
they
make
knew
sure
they
they
were
couldn't
killing
get the
them.
fuck out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
At that point, I lost any and all trust, and at that point, I started digging into JFK, and I found out a whole lot more shit. And
Right.
after
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trump actually
Well, it's just
released
like, you know-
documents that showed the interaction between the CIA, the mob, and the fucking government that
Yeah.
didn't want Kennedy
Because-
doing
Well,
his
see,
shit.
There are too many
here's the
correlations
curious
to say
thing
they're
about
pretending,
that,
right?
about the JFK thing. Here's the curious thing about that.
Mhm.
George Bush Sr. Said he was in Dallas or in Texas, but he couldn't verify his whereabouts
So Ted
when
Cruz's
all of the
dad.
stuff
It's
went on
funny.
to the. He took it to his grave.
Everybody remembers where they
Yeah.
were when they heard the news. I
Except for
remember
him.
where I was when
Right.
I heard about 9/11.
Well, and
He
then
didn't
9/11,
check this
know.
out.
I was
He
on
said
my-
he didn't
I
know
was at
because he
work.
was in front of the fucking police coordinating, changing the bodies because they had killed the police
Mhm.
officer. Just looked at the president earlier that morning to make sure he was coordinating along with the hospital to make sure that the autopsy didn't go correctly. He was the head of the CIA
Right.
in that area, running the Dallas
Right.
police.
And after all that happened, he became the director of the CIA and only retired as the director of the CIA when Reagan offered him the job to be the vice president, and eventually he became the president.
Yep.
And what was the very first thing he signed into law after swearing himself in as president? Do you remember?
Oh,
Let me tell you. It was
Was the
he
year my
changed
dad
the
died?
law
I
and
don't
made it illegal for the CIA to assassinate the head of any country without the direct permission of the president of the United States.
because he
Oh,
knew
so
that
he
they
knew.
already
He
did
knew
that.
that. He
because
found
he
out.
knew they already did it. He
They've
was a
done
part
for
of it.
years.
He was a part of
Yep.
it. So he wanted to make sure they couldn't kill him off.
Yeah. I'm gonna make sure you can't do that to me now.
That's right.
Yeah.
You
They
can't
can
bump
do
me
it to
off.
any
And
of us.
like,
And they've got, look, I used to think about directed energy weapons, or then we got the towers,
Yeah.
the communication towers with the 5 and the generational thing, and how they can focus those on the resonance of our body. But now we're
Yeah.
finding out that there are micro darts that they can actually shoot from a sniper rifle from
Microdust.
like miles away that gives you a stroke or a heart attack on that instant. And if they want you gone, you will be gone.
Well, they
So
did that in the
live your
church
life
commission.
and be
Didn't they show
happy.
that they had
Fuck
bullets that? Didn't they show that they had bullets? They made actual bullets that shot, or a gun that shot these bullets that were ice. So when they hit you,
ice.
they would poison
Yeah.
you, and they'd give you. And this was back in the early 70s, where they
The
give you
60s.
these,
I was going to say late
it would
60s.
melt,
Yes,
it
the
would
ice
make a
bullets.
tiny little pinhole, but it would show that you had a heart attack. I mean, this is all documented.
Yep.
You can watch all this.
Which is why I was
And
gonna,
yeah, I mean, that's a long time ago. I mean, look at what Julian Assange already revealed.
Right. Think
They
And
about
you don't
the,
think
car
that
up.
they've
Yeah.
refined that
Car up,
shit
dude.
since then?
right, Mike.
which is what I was
How
trying to
far have
say.
they
Like
come
with my
from
the
that?
whole propaganda
Yeah.
of save your grandma. I mean, like really, my grandma being alive at this time and day, and trust me, she only died just a few years ago, and it broke my heart. It was sad. And
I'm holding
point
my
is-
thought.
the point is,
somebody's going back.
well,
somewhere.
yes, I'm going back because I'm coming through.
Bring
But
it back.
that's the
through.
whole thing. Falling for these certain things, these certain taglines, you've really got to be able to bring yourself into your own balance. Because the second they said that, I couldn't help but think about my grandma be going through right now. She had Alzheimer's. Already was having a hard time because she was on dialysis. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm supposed to worry about a mask? Because that's what would bother her? I don't fucking think so.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
In that
It's
video,
about really,
check this out. In that video that I sent you guys, the doctor explains what the masks are, and I started laughing because it's so true. The doctor says the masks that they have you wear, that the doctors and nurses wear, those
Mhm.
things were never designed to filter anything out. They're splash
No,
guards
this
so
is
they
for
don't
you
get
not to
blood,
spit
Keep it from them
into the fucking
spitting
open
in your
Yeah.
wounds.
right?
That
And
was
so
it.
that if
Yes.
something happens and they get sprayed with blood, it doesn't get in their mouth or nose, and then they wear goggles so it
Exactly.
can't get in their eyes. So they
Have
do
you ever
that
been
so
a
they
painter?
don't catch anything from the patient, and then they
Right.
don't sneeze on the patient, like Mike was saying,
Have you
or
ever
as you're
been a
talking,
painter, dude?
sometimes
Have
spit
you ever painted?
flies and you don't know it, and it
Right.
can go into their wound and it could cause them to die.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
If you end up, when you close them up, they got bacteria in there now, and they
So
can die
what
from it.
happens whenever you find a scissor or a scalpel that was left after surgery that
Oh, that happens a lot.
they
too.
go back to the X-ray and they find out that oops, they left something inside of you
Yeah.
during surgery.
Right.
Mhm.
That happened
Yeah.
to my first wife. That's no joke. She went in to get a hysterectomy. She went in to get that, and when they pulled out all the
I avoided
packing, they
that.
found an extra one that was already in her, and that looked like it had been there for 10 or 12 years or more.
Right.
So that after she
Yeah.
came out, after she came to, the doctors asked her how long ago was her surgery that she had, and she said, "I just had the surgery now." And they said, "No, you've had surgery on your female parts before." She goes, "I have never had surgery on my female parts."
Oh shit.
So at some point in her life, something happened to her, and she does not have the memory of having surgery. But they found a packing gauze that they put
Yeah.
in the body
Whoa.
when they count them. They know exactly we're going to use 8,
Yeah.
and then they count them, so they pull them out. Did we find all of them? That way they don't leave shit inside of you. They found another
Right.
one, and it was nasty.
Smart.
It had been sitting in there for a while. They said to
Oh.
her, "You had surgery at some point in your life, and you just don't know it."
Wow, and how much toxicity did that cause, dude? Oh
Well,
my
see,
god.
and that's
Well, we
just
believe
it.
that's what caused her to have the problem to end up having to get a
Yeah.
hysterectomy to
in
begin
the
with.
first place.
Yeah.
I had a tubulization. I worry about that sometimes. I'm in
Yeah.
menopause
Vibration.
already at 44. And so, sometimes I got to wonder, was that simple little procedure, though they didn't remove anything? I mean,
Right.
fuck
My
myself a little bit,
current
right?
wife
And-
has that as well. She can't get pregnant because of all the problems that she has. And we're like,
Wow.
what happened there? And the doctors are
See, I
like,
prevented it with the
we're
tubulization.
not quite sure. We just know that you have like fibromyalgia and a bunch of other stuff down
See,
there.
and I got,
Yeah.
the fibromyalgia afterwards and all this
Well,
other
I'm gonna
nerve
creep you out a little bit
issues,
further. There was, and we're gonna go back to Joe Sanj because I wanted to go back to him.
because he's
How he
amazing.
talked about in how you can speed cars up. That's which kind of really was weird because
Stop
at the
them in
time
the
he
middle of the
found out
highway.
Paul Walker was running into car
Right?
into a tree, and he was about wasn't he about? And I don't know this for sure. I've only
He
heard
was,
it online,
though, going
so
out.
I don't know the source. But he was studying or investigating and about to make a documentary on child trafficking and sex
Well, because he's from
trafficking.
Hollywood, right?
No,
He
he
just had a little girl,
disappeared.
and he was
Imagine that. About to
Yeah,
expose
that's Chris
everybody, and
Cornell.
he
What's
disappears.
Petra Bedingfield?
Yeah.
Think about all the other actors, like all the other actors and musicians that just wound
Well,
up
now,
dead.
okay, check
Big
this out.
surprise when I found out at the beginning.
Listen to this, guys.
Sick motherfucker.
Check this out. Okay. So Emery Smith, I don't know if you guys know who he is. Emery Smith is an
Sounds
insider.
familiar, dude.
He's an insider that was, if you listen to Wilcock for 10 years,
Yeah.
20 years ago, and up until about 6 years ago, the guy that he called Paul, who was his insider
I
in the
kinda know who
government,
I know who
is
you're talking about,
Emery Smith. Okay, so Emery Smith said that one of the attempts on his life that they took, he was driving, and it was on a kind of a windy road, but it was a little busy, and it was one of those one lane coming, one lane going. And he goes around this corner, and of course the mountain is on his right, so he has nowhere to go. He goes around this corner, and a car coming towards him, he looked up and saw the guy in the car coming towards him. And when the guy's eyes met his, he realized that that guy was not actually in control of himself. They took control of
Right.
that guy's mind and swerved the car at the last second to hit Emery Smith head on.
Yep.
And it almost killed
Well,
him.
they do have that. What did they call
Okay,
it?
so-
God to brain or voice to skull technology.
Right?
So you never
So-
know. If
so-
your voice is
So they
superior
almost
or
killed
not,
him because of it. And when they asked the guy, the driver, he had no recollection of the accident
Right.
whatsoever. And so of course they said, well, it was because he hit his head and he was unconscious. So because he was knocked out, he doesn't remember the accident. But Emery Smith was like, no, that guy was not in control of himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because you
And
can
he
kind of
knew
tell
that.
someone, right, in their eyes.
Right. But
Yeah.
my point is to that it is kind of scary when you think about that they have that technology
Yes, they do.
to do something like that.
And they're trying
I
to feed
see
that to
that-
people with autism right now.
But yeah, I see that happen in nature, and I've noticed that, and this is where I'm going with that point, and this has to do with whether or not you're paying attention, not
Right.
to what I'm saying, but to the reality of the world while it's happening, is that there are certain laws that govern. So you have certain percentages of things that will happen. For instance,
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
for
There's always
instance,
anomalies,
if-
yes.
yeah. So for instance, everywhere, I don't care where you live in the world. I don't care if you live in a town of 4 people. I don't care if you live in a metropolis of 100 million people.
Right.
Every single year, 10% of the population is going to claim they got bit by a dog and report it.
By a dog?
By a dog. It is the law of averages. People get 10% of the population of every place on the planet report being bit by a dog every single year. Okay, so there's certain things that that God rolled the dice with
Yeah.
the universe and gave us certain things that happen when the things are right. And there's a probability
When our
of an
vibration's in
outcome.
that place, dude. If you're
Okay,
more
so for
afraid of
instance, here's
something,
another
it's
for
gonna
instance.
persist
When
with
you're
you.
driving, right? When you're driving down the road, many times when
Yeah.
accidents happen, people go, I have no idea what was going on. I was just driving along, and then all of a sudden everybody in front of me stopped. Okay, so what happens, and I've had this happen to me, and I've seen it happen to other people. What has happened is while you're driving, first of all, they'll tell you have to be careful because just driving on the road with that constant road and the little dots and
Yep.
whatever mark, that can hypnotize you. So people get driving
Yes.
and you get going,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you check out. You're like,
Actually,
Yep.
they passed a
Called,
law saying that
it's
you
called
can't.
with
This is
micro
something
sleep.
I was
They're called
driving.
micro
I was
sleep.
driving it.
sorry, you guys are both talking at the same time. Mike, you go first, and then Aaron, you go.
I was driving at 16 international highways and everything else, and I found a little article that told me that they actually passed a law mandating that you cannot maintain the same distance among those stripes in the middle. Because in the late 50s and 60s, they found that at a certain speed and the distance of the stripes, that
does.
actually
Hypnotize
triggered epileptic
Yeah.
effects in the brain. So
Right.
you have to make
I
sure
can
that
see
I
that.
those
remember
stripes
being
are at
young
different
and like
distances.
looking for that. The trees, the lines, that was something that just totally like intrigued me as a kid growing up.
No,
I'll be right back.
it
I'm gonna
goes
smoke a
in your
cigarette.
mind,
That was
depending on
one
the
of those
frequency.
things and I think it's because yes, it does kind of trance you out a little bit, right? Like it gets you into this
Yeah.
pattern of things. But as an adult and driving, I also kind of found that I would get myself stuck in certain patterns, especially at night. I don't have the best
And you
eyesight.
see- you
I've
fall
had glasses for a
asleep.
long time.
God,
Not the point is
right.
that yes, when I'm going and I'm trying to follow a line, and then all of a sudden you get like construction, right? So now you got like all these lights trying to show you what you're supposed to do, but like on you now. You just went from darkness into all this light, and you're going, and you're trying to just follow you can find yourself in some serious problems, right? But yes, that repetitive, those things that they do, I swear to God, they do them in a way to yes help, but like inadvertently trigger certain things so that certain things will just continue to happen, right? Like they're going to happen anyway. We're all in
Well,
a
and
cycle.
some of this,
We're
see,
all in a
my
cycle.
point is a lot of this isn't planned by any nefarious creature. A lot of what happens is just the law of averages.
Well, just
And
nature.
like, for instance, let me finish the story that I was giving you the example of. I was driving along one day and I was getting off of work. So I was a little tired, right? You're a little bit groggy. You're on your way home, right?
Yeah.
I'm listening to music and I'm driving, and I realize when I pull up to this 4-way stop, and it's a stop sign, and it's in the city of Berkeley, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm trying to go through, and there's a lot of cars. It's rush hour, so you're going, you pull forward a little bit, oh, one more step, and I'll eventually get there. So I get to the point where I'm next, and I start to go, and I realize that there's a person that just started walking across the street. So if I start to go, I'm going to have to stop in the middle of the intersection because this person's walking across the street. Right. So I pulled out just a little bit into the intersection and went, oh crap. And I hit the brakes. Right.
The guy behind you slammed into you thinking that you were going to continue accelerating.
No, he actually stopped. He almost did. And then he honked at me.
Right.
And what happened was the guy on the left, the woman coming this way, going crosswise, she started to go and she wasn't even seeing me. Yeah. When I looked at her, she's about to T-bone me, and in her mind, I am not even there. I can see that in her eyes. And I looked her right in the eye, and I said out loud, "See me." And when I did, I watched her eyes focus. She all of a sudden went, oops, as I clobbered my keyboard. She goes, and sees me and slams on the brakes.
See me. That works. That actually does. So many times in accidents, people didn't actually. I felt like I was invisible.
Yeah.
So many times, because to them, you are.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
She was checked out. She checked out and didn't know it, and she was on autopilot, and she was about to broadside me. But when I looked her in the eyes, it said, see me. Yeah. She came to, slammed on her brakes, and I couldn't have put a piece of paper between her bumper and my side of my car. And she was like, oh, my God, I didn't see you. She said that to me. And I could tell that because she was that close to me. Right.
Yeah.
And everybody was like honking. And I was like, does anyone else see this old woman that's walking across the street, or am I high?
Right.
Nobody saw her at all.
Right. And no one saw her until I pointed her out.
And what they needed.
Once I pointed out, look, I pointed to the old woman, the girl in the car next to me looked over, saw her, the guy behind me went, oh, and then he was like, I looked in the mirror and he was all sorry because no one saw that woman.
Which was
Had
the
I
whole
not
point
saw her, I would have
to
killed her,
that
would have ran her
conversation.
over.
They kind of put those little things in our way. They distract us so much. It's so easy to get lost or focused in, you know what I mean? For me, I'm slightly night blind. So I'm definitely, I'm watching my lines. I'm trying to make sure I'm in my lane. I'm like, you know, I'm focused, but I'm, you know I need to pay attention to certain things. So when you got sudden things coming at you that, you know, especially because I'm in Utah, and dude, I tell you what, I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know that they've ever had a finished road here. Anyway, the point is that, you know, you get these sudden things coming at you, right? When you're in your zone. And so you're trying to like, okay, I got to watch my lines, but this, oh my God. And this thing's like, what am I seeing? What am I going the right way? You know what I mean? Like, it feels like
I can relate to you from the other side,
mm-hmm.
because I learned to drive in Mexico City. At that
Mm-hmm.
time, it was the biggest city in the world with some serious fucking traffic.
Serious
So what I was taught from a very early age is it doesn't matter how you drive, you got to watch everybody else, because everybody else is an idiot, and you got to read their mind. You got to find out how they're going, where their wheels are, if they're going into you or not. And so your head is on a swivel
my late 20s
100% of the time. When I drive in the US, people don't have their head on a swivel. I'm in my lane. Everything's okay. If anybody comes in, it's their fault and their insurance is going to pay for it.
Right. Well, see,
and
this is the thing.
I'm okay as long as I stay in my lane.
Yes. Now, see, and
I've seen these people stay behind a stalled car for half an hour in front of a green light because they wouldn't go out of their lane.
I got a funny story. I got a funny story for that. Check this out. I got a funny story for that. I'm driving home one day. This is a true story, but it sounds made up, right? But Mike, you just said that. I sort of triggered my memory. I'm driving along, and there's two main arteries in the town that I was living in, and those were the ones that you have a stoplight like every freaking block, right? Every city block. So there was a neighborhood that skinned through, but in between where it was a housing track, and there was a road there that goes through there, and everybody who lives in that city basically knows you can get from one part of town to the other part of town without going on those two main arteries and still get there actually quicker, because now you only got stop signs, right? So I'm driving that way and I'm just cruising, and I realize that there's two minivans in front of me, and apparently the minivans they're both packed with women, and they're together. And they're all laughing and having fun, right? And I could tell that it's like 4 generations of people, and they're on their way either to a store or to the house where they're going to go all together as a family. And it's just the women. So they must have left the men somewhere, and they all headed out to do something. They're having a good time, right? And they're laughing. And as we're driving, the road kind of weaves like this, and there's periodic stop signs. And we come up to this one where it kind of weaves to the right, and there's a stop sign, right? And there's just a T going to the left. So the stop sign's only there to go straight, or the people to come into that street and go this way or this way, not to the right. And they're driving along, and they pull up behind this car that's at the stop sign, and they're just sitting there, and I'm waiting, and I look, and they start yelling and honking the horn, and they're yelling at the guy to go through the stop sign. And I'm watching this, and I wait about 30 seconds, and then I think, well, maybe I should tell them. So I roll my window down the passenger side, and I go around them, and I get right in between the two cars so they can all hear me. And I say, hey, you guys can honk at that car all day, but it's not going to move. It's parked.
Right.
They had moved over so much while they were driving that they pulled up behind a parked car and thought we were sitting at the stop sign.
I've actually seen that happen.
But they were in their lane. That guy was wrong.
Here's the kicker. The owner of the car was standing in his window with the curtains open, eating a cheese sandwich. I could tell that because I was able to look at him long enough.
This is fucking hilarious.
And he's eating a cheese sandwich, and he's looking out his window like, what the fuck is going on out here? And then when I yell that, he hears it. He looks at me. I look at him. He starts smiling. He gives me the thumbs up. I wave, beep, beep, and I drive away.
Hey, dumbasses, you got into the parking lane.
You got into the parking lane. I'm like, well, come on, go. The car's probably been sitting there since 8 o'clock this morning.
People are
I think like I said, I think that there's those inadvertent little things that kind of miss to distraction. We can learn how to drive. We can learn all the rules, and we follow the rules, but you can get lost in those rules. You can learn to drive by just driving the car, and you get so stuck in that instinct that you're not paying attention to certain rules. It really is like just finding how you work and truly working with yourself, being aware of your surroundings without giving it too much credence, but giving, being aware of what's
Well, when
around
you
you.
drive, you definitely
And
need to be aware of your
especially
surroundings.
when you're driving, which, I mean, like I said, I didn't start driving until I was in like 22, 23. Okay. Didn't get my license until I
Holy
was 21.
shit! Seriously?
I started
I've
driving
been
when I
driving
was
since
8.
I was 11.
I might have
I
even been
was
younger.
a chicken shit.
I mean,
I was
Once I could reach the
afraid
pedals, I
of
was driving.
Got a license at
Yeah.
18.
Well, see,
I learned how to ride a
first of all, I
motorcycle
was afraid
before I
of the
learned how to drive a
consequences,
car, though.
actually. I'll put it that
Although
way.
Me
when
too.
I was little, my father
Yeah.
used to put me on his lap and let me steer. But when I was actually driving the vehicle myself, I was 8 years old the first time I did that. And that was on a motorcycle. And the first time I drove a vehicle, I think I was 10 or 11, like Mike said. I drove my dad's van. I think I was 11
My
or
dad
so.
gave me the wheels in a
I've done
rural
some on the
area so
lap,
that I could actually
and yeah.
learn stick shift. But we interrupted
But-
Norma, so I apologize, Norma. Go ahead.
Well, no, just
Yeah,
that first
sorry,
time
go
I
ahead.
actually drove, like, I was in charge of a vehicle, and I realized that my instinct was to go like this when I'm,
Oh yeah, you do that when you're
You know what I
turning
mean?
red. You got to watch for that. Yeah.
when I
Everyone kinda
realized,
does
I'm
that.
like beyond, you know what I mean? And I find myself in like little troublesome situations. Oh my God. The fuck? So really, yeah, I was more afraid of just, more other people driving, right? Because I know that I know where to keep my control. Don't go after the drink if it's spilled. Just keep driving. You know what I mean? Like, I'll find my spots and I'll be okay being aware of what happened. But other people are not necessarily aware of the fact that I just looked down at my drink falling before I looked back up, right?
Right.
So I always had this certain like fear
I
of
wanted to answer her question.
being in
She
charge
said,
of my
"My
car.
son says minivans are evil." I love minivans, dude.
I
couldn't stand them
I have a minivan.
when I was younger because
I
you know
drive
they
a
don't
minivan
look
right now.
cool.
My last three
dude,
vehicles were
we
minivans.
went on a road trip for
did.
3 months.
It was awesome.
4 months?
4 or 5
3 or 4
months,
months in an Astrovan, dude. And it was fucking
It was
amazing,
so awesome.
dude. That
It really
thing
was.
was so awesome, dude, to cruise in.
It was
I
great.
like
to
what
and
Linda
then
said. You
when
had it
the
up
took
earlier.
over the go sleep
Hold
in
on,
the car.
you had this up from Linda earlier. I want to put that back up because I have a story to that too, right?
Oh, dude, I do too. It actually happened to
You
me.
put it up. Go ahead.
Right. So I'll go first, then Mike,
that
then
it, or
Aaron.
do you want-
Okay, let's do this. Let's go around the stories. I'll do mine really fast. When I was younger, I was in my early 20s. A bunch of us guys that worked together at a movie theater, we would always hang out together and party together, and we're all about movies and doing stuff. So we all decided we wanted to go to Pier 39 in San Francisco. So of course we were high as fuck. We all got way wasted out of our minds, and we went to the zoo first, and then the zoo kind of sucked. It was a cold day, so we said, let's go to Pier 39. So we're on our way driving through San Francisco, the city, not on a highway. We're driving down the streets now, and we're coming back from the zoo. And if you've ever done that, you know that's like 100 city blocks, but it's still a badass drive, right? So we're driving along, and we get way down into the Tenderloin, right? And we're heading down to the wharf. And my brother's in a car in front of us with a buddy of ours. There's 3 or 4 of them in there, and we're driving along, and they were in a Mustang, a 67 Mustang. So of course they were kicking ass and driving away from us, and we were in this little jalopy. But we pull up, and as we're driving down this long street, we realize that they're sitting at this stoplight, and we pull up, and the stoplight's green, and they're just sitting there, right? And so we pull up next to them, and I said, hey, what are you guys doing, man? Are you guys at a stop sign or something? And they're like, what? And I said, you do realize you've just sat through 2 green lights, right?
I think we're parked, man. Sounds like a Cheech and Chong story.
No,
right there.
dude,
Right, exactly.
We're waiting for the post to turn green. Wait, the post is supposed to turn green.
Right? So I'm like, what are you at a stop sign? You're at a stoplight, and it was green, and people are honking at it. I'm going around. They're going, hey, screw you. What's your problem, dude?
That's
were
a
so
light.
high,
Now,
they
I've
didn't
actually
realize
stopped at a stop sign thinking it was a light and waiting for the light. That was on pot. One time,
that's what she said in the message. People that are high is waiting for the stop sign to turn green.
No, the worst is this. There was one time that I was on another substance that I choose not to mention, to where I actually stopped about 50 feet before the stop sign, because when I saw the stop sign, I already stopped. And then my friend is sitting in a passenger seat, leans over and says, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Oh, fuck. Yeah, the stop sign's up there, not here. Sorry." And I accelerated and got to the actual fucking stop sign. So the instant that I saw it, I braked, and I wasn't anywhere fucking near it. And therein lies a problem. Good thing it was a night, nobody around, and fucking A, I'm not doing that shit again.
Right. I've never actually driven while I was high. Well, I've been in vehicles while I've been high, but I didn't actually drive myself. I'm not sure that I would. I mean, I've driven when I'm drunk, and being high is, unless it's a mild high, is not something that I would want to do while driving. Right. So I don't fault people for, like, even here in the state, it's illegal to drink and drive, but drinking is legal. It's illegal to be high on pot and drive, but pot's legal. Right. And I kind of get that, because because you can get really, really screwed up high and not realize it at first because you're screwed up high. Right. So I haven't been brave enough to try that.
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
There's times when I'm
mean?
like, sometimes yes, and then there's other times when I'm like, oh hell no, I am not getting behind the wheel right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Fucking seeing green gremlins
so
in the
high,
fucking corner, dude. No way. Like edibles in Vegas, man. Oh my god. Took some edibles and they were high potency, and whoa, I'm like, no. And I could that's the cool thing. When you're high, you're not violent. You're eating,
you're not actually speeding, depending. If you're on coke,
it's not as much speeding. You're not speeding when you're high. Yeah, you're not. Yeah, you're slowing things down, which you're going like 50 on the fucking freeway.
We're going 40 and a 60 because why the fuck not? Life is
but on the other side of that,
wait a minute, man. I'm on freeway. I think I'm only going 35.
Yeah, on the other side of that, if you're
being realistic right now,
if you're wired, you're driving like a maniac, right? Those guys are like, gotta get there now. We should have been there already. You know what I mean? Dude flies by me. I'm like, okay, he's either just like that, or that dude is stacked up on some speed of some kind.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right? Because otherwise, you're right. You're just like, speed limit 65. I don't feel like going that fast, bro. I think we'll do 55. What do you think?
That sounds like
I'm going to make sure that I go.
In Dallas, if it's 65, we're going 80. That's Dallas. I went to Denver with a friend of mine, and then all of a sudden, in a 60-mile-an-hour area, people were going 50, 55. I was going fucking nuts. I couldn't handle that shit at fucking all. I would accelerate up to people going 80 and swerve around them just to get a fucking thrill, because 50. Fuck me. No way.
You know what I do when people do that to me? You might, honestly, you know what I do? I laugh when somebody comes flying up on me and they're making the point to get up on my bumper on purpose because, hey, motherfucker, you're in my way. You should move.
No, like, I didn't do that.
And then they swerve around me. I'm like, I'm not moving out of the way. But then they go around
they were in
you.
The right lane. They were in the right lane. I would have speed up to them just to get a fucking thrill, because everybody going 50 was so goddamn boring. I was used to Dallas.
When someone does that to me, I just smile and laugh, because I'm like, here's the karmic wheel that's about that. And you're going to run into somebody just like you, and you're going to be pissed off in a minute. And I think that's hilarious when it happens, when you watch somebody. I've had somebody do that to me, and they went around me. Right. Here's an example. I was driving my work truck with my boss, and it was flooding. Right. So we're outside of our work area, and we're actually helping the city because they were flooding as well. We had our entire area taken care of, but their area being flooding was also going to overflow into flood to us. So we were helping the city to relieve some of their stuff. And what happens is all the leaves and shit get in the gutters and they get clogged up. And the next thing you know, a place floods. So this happened on a street. There was one lane coming, one lane going. That was a quick right-hand 90-degree turn. And people would come around the corner and not realize that it was flooded right there, and they would run straight into the water. So you had to drive in the center of the road, because that's the highest point of every road, because they're always tapered 1% grade going in both directions. So we're coming back, and we were passing that place because we had cleared it out, but it was still flooded, but it was not as bad as it was. And so as we're driving back, this woman is driving towards me, and she gets pissed off because I'm in the middle of the road. And she's honking at me and flipping me off out the window. So I pull over, and the water, of course, is spraying. I pull over out of the way, and I slow down, and she drives by, and she's looking at me, and I look at her, and she's flipping me off, right? And she goes sailing straight into the water, and her car dies. And I roll my window down. I honk my horn. I stick my head out the window. I laugh my ass off. I flip her off, and I drive away and leave her stuck in the water.
Yep.
Oh,
my boss says, dude, we can get in trouble for that if somebody turns us in. And I said, we were never here, and this never happened.
Dude.
And she said, you're absolutely right. Go ahead, Aaron. I'm sorry.
You know those times when you always want it to happen, but it never does when you're on the road. I don't know where the hell we got into traffic stories. But anyway, when you're on the road and somebody cuts you off, pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
cut you off, and you're like, God, I wish there was a fucking cop there right now, because
That was
you're
where I was
pissed. You're
going
like,
with that.
dude,
That's why I started with that.
that guy
Eric, was
needs
exactly
that,
that.
and that's
Karma.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I never expect a cop because I grew up
Yeah.
with my dad. My dad would, and this was something extremely irritating that pissed my mom off the entire time, but I learned it. And at some point, yeah, it kind of pissed me off, but I understood the fucking mentality, especially now that I'm older. Somebody would cut off my dad, he would tail him the entire fucking time. Keep cutting them off and everything
Oh,
else.
yeah, the
Eventually,
road
he'd
rage.
stop. He would make that fucking car stop and make that motherfucker apologize for cutting his ass off. And no, otherwise he'd be going to the hospital. One of the two fucking options.
My
You
father
wasn't
was
carrying
like
that
my-
machete you got right there behind you.
Somebody mentioned that they're not pissed off in traffic. My kids have trauma of how much I scream at traffic while I was taking them to school. Just to give you an
See,
idea.
my
There was
father was
one
like that.
instance-
He would do the
Road
same thing.
rage like a
Oh my
motherfucker.
gosh.
Right? Yeah, I don't have that
Why
at
we all
all. It
need to
doesn't
read
bother
the
me.
Dow a
I have
little bit
none.
more.
Yeah.
I have when I'm driving.
No,
I
it's
have
driving in
I'm-
Mexico City, man. If you let everybody pass, you won't get fucking anywhere. You got to get in there, man. You got to get the fuck in
Yep.
there. Fuck you. It's my
Do
turn.
the Vegas Strip. That's the
I'm
closest
glad I'm
I've
not.
seen to
Yeah.
it.
I mean, yeah.
But
yeah.
see, you know what? In
You don't
truth,
get in there,
you
you're
can
done.
you can still do that without having to be a predator. You don't have to be a dick
Right.
to
Right.
do it.
Right.
Right.
I do that all the time, and I get
Yeah.
in there and I do all
It's
that
that
stuff. But
patience,
I'm
it's
not. I
that
have no
flow.
road rage. I don't
Bring it
yell at
out.
anybody. And rarely, usually
Right.
if I flip somebody off, it's because I'm just being an asshole now. Because like one guy who's OCD and the light would turn green. If I didn't step on the gas, this is no joke. 'Cause he did this to me at 3 stop signs. If I didn't step on the gas within 2 seconds, he was honking his horn.
Mm.
So at first I thought, what the fuck is this guy's problem? And then I started thinking, well, maybe he's actually autistic and it's bugging him. Right. But I can't just let him do this because now he's pissing me off. So the
Right.
third time that he honked the horn, I didn't move. I put my hand out the window and I flipped him off. And I just sat there through
Yeah,
the
I get
entire
really mean
green light,
sometimes too, that way. I'm like,
through the red light, and through the next entire green light, and through the red light. And then the light turned green. And then I drove. He did not pass me. He patiently just sat there and he didn't honk again. And then I drove through and he didn't bother me the rest of the way that he followed me until I got on the freeway.
And see,
Right?
I kind of sort of dealt with that with my autistic daughter. I think that's why she kind of gets mad at me sometimes. She's
Well, and then
because
come forward in time,
because here's
my
the thing: is I
brother's
can totally
kid-
understand where you feel like this and you see this.
Yeah.
I see what you're seeing right now, but that's not what's actually happening right now. And I can't, like, I can give you that you're
How many
feeling
of us do
sad,
that,
and
but
you're
we
feeling
jump to the
bad, and
judgment
you're
of
whatever,
shit?
but I
And
can't.
that's why we're talking about the Dow. We're talking about the Dow
Yeah.
because the Dow does help you look at things
Well, and
that,
that's-
like, you know,
that's-
wait a minute,
yeah,
why
this
am I
whole
freaking
thing-
out? Because every time we pulled over, I
Yep.
pulled over for people, dude, that like cut me off when I had my
Yeah.
little kids when I was in my 20s. I fucking let them like follow me, and I'm like, okay. And then till they see my big ass get out of the car, and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
they get out of the car, you see like their silhouette in the dark,
Mhm.
and they're like, they stop, and then they turn around and get back in the car. But really, even what I was doing was ridiculous. Like, I look at it, even the times now. I mean, I do it now where I see somebody, or I'm on the road with somebody and they're just cutting me off, or I'm getting impatient. And yeah, there's plenty of things that can piss you off in life, but really, like the Tao says, you don't come at it that way. You
Right.
look at yourself. Like, what are you
Right.
doing though? How are you
Yeah.
reacting to it?
Yeah.
Well, and that goes back to the judge not lest you be judged philosophy that Jesus taught, and in the Tao he said the same thing, almost word for
Yeah.
word. You have to realize that as soon as you pass judgment on someone else, you have to
Mhm.
realize you're actually passing judgment
You've
on
put
yourself.
something on
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah,
You've
right.
seen something inside of
you'll
you.
understand
obviously.
something
Yeah.
better from their complaint than the person that they're complaining about.
Yeah.
But about the car thing, for example, whenever I'm fucking sober, I'm extremely competitive and rushed, and I got to get to where I got to get to in the mindset of the majority of people that are in the
Right.
program. It's normal. However, after I get the green that calms me down, I am at that point one of the nicest drivers you have ever
Yeah.
met. If you're in a rush, go right on by. You want to cut in front of me? I'll slow down. Go ahead.
Go for it. Yeah.
Do your journey. I'm going to
And
get
that's
to
why I
where
call
I'm
myself
going
a
to go
fearful
in the
driver. I'm
peace
like-
of when I'm going to get there, and everybody
Yep.
else will flow at their own pace. But that only
Yep.
happens when I'm calm from the green. Otherwise, fuck you, get out of my way, you asshole. I'm going to get
Right.
you back.
Oh, see,
Right.
and that's why. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
definitely. That's
I'm
why
far
I
too
said those
patient for
natural
that.
medicines, those natural herbs, and seeing how you work, like how you really work, and what you really need is really like your ultimate like Really, knowing your body,
Being
your
peaceful
universe,
at all times, like
your
not letting.
center.
That's my goal, is to not let any of that. And I'm that already.
Don't let anything
Is
trigger
not
you.
letting
You know,
a lot of
that was
shit
a
get to
hard
me.
thing
No,
for me as
everything
well,
fucking
Aaron.
triggers me.
Legal,
I'm one seriously triggered motherfucker. I mean, everything fucking triggers me.
Right.
Nobody
Well,
wants to
see,
be
but you
around me
know
'cause I
that it
always
does.
explode.
You know that it does, so you have a choice. Even
And you're aware
triggers
that
are a
it does.
choice,
right?
right? Even you have to
Yeah,
realize
I
that triggers are
usually try to avoid
pre-programmed.
those
No, because
conversations, which is why I like these elevated conversations with you guys, because I
Right.
don't get triggered as much unless you
Right.
go down the cosmopolitan road. You know,
Right.
I take
Right.
triggers
Right.
as that point where I go, okay, hang on. If I don't want to feel like this, right? I mean, and it depends on her, right? Sometimes I'm triggered just be, but if I'm being triggered in a certain way, I'm going, whoo, that just tells me, okay, hang on. What's going on in me right now? That's like so
there
buggy.
you
You know what I
go.
mean? Even when it
Most
comes
people
down
don't
to
have that
drinking,
consciousness,
right?
so
I can
congratulations,
indulge
Roman.
and I can overdo it, but I will never give any behavior an excuse to anything outside of me. Any way I'm
It's still
behaving,
you, yes.
even if
Even
I
if
have
you're out
got
of your
some sort of
mind.
substance enhancing or bringing me to some space, I'm acting a certain way because it is in me. And nothing
Something
has an
triggering you,
excuse
yes.
to, you know what I mean? Like if I don't want to behave that way, I now need to look at, okay, hang on, if I can actually still act this way, no matter the reason, no matter what's happening, if I'm behaving like this in any way, any shape, any form, at any time, I'm obviously neglecting some piece in myself that needs something, right?
Well, and you see, that's perfect that you say that, because that goes, like Aaron said, it's right in with the Tao. What we have to do is become more aware, and this is the looking into yourself. You have to become more aware of pre-programmed, because all your triggers are pre-programmed. You
Yep.
have decided, or
Yep.
someone is telling you that these words mean you
Yep.
have to get mad and do this. And so
Right.
Yep.
right, like with women, you guys have that C word that you tell young women that if anyone calls you this word, you have to become the devil and fucking murder the world over it, right?
Mhm.
Everyone
I mean, I'm a
has
little
them. Every
opposite,
race
yes.
has them, because people call
Yeah.
people things
Right.
like the N word
Yep.
for the African Americans. People calling the Irish either bug or bug Irish or Mick. We call each other Mick all the time. It's the same
Calling
thing as
people
the N
crackers,
word,
calling people whatever.
right?
it is.
We
Irish
call
used
each
to be
other Mick,
called
but you
gorillas.
can't
They
call
were
me a
compared
Mick,
to gorillas, dude, and apes.
And
right?
apes,
Yeah,
you know,
Just like the black people.
right.
And the Irish were just as discriminated against as the
Yeah.
black people.
the very,
Right.
very white and the very, very dark.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we
It's
took
not
that.
as simple as that. It's also
Well,
because you got
actually, it
white
is.
people
It
that are
comes
discriminated
down
against
to
because
it's
they ain't
perfectly
got
simple,
shit,
bro.
and they're
It-
living on the wrong side of the tracks along with the other different toned people. So it's not necessarily a skin color thing. It's a do I
No.
trust
that's
your
my
shit,
point.
and are
It's
you
not a
going to
skin
make
color.
a living
My
thing?
point is it's
Yes.
not a skin color, that everyone has those triggers. They're identical.
Yes.
And no one realizes that, because they're all about us. Well, you're
Yeah.
prejudiced against my race, and I'm like, everybody's been prejudiced against everybody's
But
race.
every
There's
race
no
has had their
race on the
prejudice
face of the
against them.
planet that
Yes.
hasn't been enslaved. There's no race
Right.
on the face of the planet that hasn't enslaved people. There's no race
Enslaved.
on the face of the
Yep.
planet that haven't killed people because of a religion. There's no race on the planet who hasn't been killed because of a religious ideology or a political
Right.
ideology.
Right.
Okay, so
Yep.
people need to
Yep.
get over that. Get over that.
Yep.
That's just people victimizing themselves and trying to say,
That's
I've
living
been
in a
beaten.
victim.
My
Yeah.
people have been
Whenever-
beaten more
see,
than
that's
you.
Not
one of
even
the things I
realizing
want to
it,
get
dude.
into.
Yep. Giving
Because
yourself
the
an excuse.
victimization idea is that somebody else is at fault for your life.
Yep.
And in reality, your life is a result of your choices. Now, in my particular
Boom.
case, I spent, I just left a 2-year job during COVID, which is great. I could do it online. But before that, I was unemployed for 3. Why?
Yeah.
Because you depend on others and everything else in the surrounding environment and aspect. So you have to find a way to integrate and be involved
A part of
and
society.
included. Yep,
Right.
a part of it in certain levels. But then again, I'm also learning to start and build your own communities, your personal communities
Yes.
outside of that larger
Yes.
two-system society and that sort of thing. So I lost my
Well,
train of
and we talked about that. That's good. Let's segue with that. But I want to
Well, I think
I want to get
I love
Aaron's
you.
Yes.
opinion, and then I want to get Norma's opinion on that, right? Because you and I have been doing most of the talking, and we kind of been interrupting them. But I want to go further with that, because all of what we're saying is really basically coming from different angles, showing you the exact same thing that we have to look within ourselves and become more aware of that. That is the way. That is the Tao Chi.
Yeah.
That is the way.
Yep.
That is what that means, and that is the way that every
And then
every
nature.
deity and every philosophy
in nature.
or philosopher or savior character in
Right.
the history of this planet that we know, that we still have, has been stating that very same thing as well. Okay,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
that's what we're here to talk about. We're doing that. All this, like you guys were talking about cars and every choice you make is driven by the preconceived notions in your brain.
Yes.
How you react, how you see it, how you feel about it.
Yes.
Because you can be hurt about it, but then you know, and you will because you're fucking human.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take something right away instead of like stop before you react and speak some other bullshit and some more hate at people.
Yep.
Hold on. Let me try to figure out what they're trying to say. It may be hitting me in a wrong way.
Right.
But let me figure out.
I may be interpreting it in the wrong way. They might not
be
be
right now.
Yeah.
Or they might have meant to actually send you a barb and they're fucking assholes, but you got to figure that out and you got to wait the time out because you can't react immediately because that's always going to be wrong.
Exactly. Which is why I was trying to say, like, the things that I believed as a young kid and used to rebel against, but then as I got older and had my kids of my own, I found myself falling into certain things, right?
See, that's the generation gap.
It
How
really
do you teach
is.
the
It's
younger
about
ones
really
those
finding
things
that
without saying, you should know this, you dumb little innocent fuck. No.
Right.
We learned them in certain ways, and our parents didn't teach us the right way because they didn't want to some things or they didn't know about others.
Right.
But as we grow up, the thing is, we can't talk down to kids, and that's one of the bigger problems. Why? Because when they're kids, they complain about their parents, but when their parents are doing the same fucking thing their parents did, they don't learn generationally, and we continue and propagate the problems and programming that we receive unless we're actually able to consciously change our behavior and perspective on those
realities. And that's
realities.
the thing. I feel like I tried to change certain patterns in my family, certain things I had learned. Now, I didn't do the greatest job. Don't get me wrong. It's taken me having grandkids, and even still, sometimes I find myself feeling similar sensations, right? That pressure, that I'm not doing it right. Okay.
We're all a work in progress.
But recognizing it, seeing it, and understanding it for what it is. Hang on, I'm letting everything outside of me make me feel like I got to be doing this the right way, right? As opposed to understanding,
you just love that child. Just love that child. That's all you got to do is just fucking love it.
Here's a simple thing to remember for everybody.
Feed it, change its diaper, keep it happy, play with it. That's what love is. You're paying attention.
Here's the thing you want to do. Remember this, right? And that's all you have to do is just remember that there is no right way and there is no wrong way. There just is the way.
Exactly.
Okay.
It is the way.
But
my children must have needed to learn from a very young me because I had children starting at 17. I was done at 21. I hit early menopause. I'm done, right? So I was a very, very, very young mother, just coming into myself, going through life's experiences.
Let Leo finish
very
his thought,
emotional, etc.
Come on, you can fire it off here in a second.
I'm just saying.
Let Leo finish. Leo, you do remember your thought because that's what happens. We cut each other off.
I was trying to be nice. I was trying to be nice, right? Because we've all been interrupting.
Brother, I got your back, man. I got your back.
Instead of going, let me finish, right? So I didn't want to, but no, I agree with what she's saying. But you see, the first
I must be heard.
The first step in avoiding a trap is knowing of its existence. So the fact, Norma, that you do know, you already are aware that you have triggers and some of them you have to work on is a good thing because we're all a work in progress and none of us are perfect and none of us ever will be because Aaron and I were talking about this off air prior to going on air that there's always someone. Here's a quote from Merlin, right? He said, there's always someone cleverer than yourself. There's always somebody who is more advanced than you are, and there's always somebody who's not. This is not the first time that the universe has gotten to this point. So there's probably trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and who knows how many trillions of souls that have already been here that are past me and you and everybody else. So we have to realize that and understand that
those other
I am
souls
not
don't
the
matter.
greatest
The only thing that matters is us.
whatever. Wait, say that again?
Those other souls really don't matter. Well, the only thing that matters is focusing
going dark for just a minute. Be right back.
You're right.
Going dark for just a minute. I'll still be on, but I'm going dark. All right.
Okay.
Y'all understand.
All the other resonances and all the other people and all the other beings are important and everything else, but thing is, whenever we focus on them, we end up focusing on the judgment and how they're doing, what they could improve, what they could do different by your perception of what is true and real and what they should be doing.
Right.
Okay. But the thing is that we should never be plucking the splinter out of someone's eye when we got a plank in our own. That phrase in and of itself tells us everything. Focus on your own shit. If you see something wrong in somebody else, make sure you're not doing it.
Yeah, agreed.
Don't take it out on them. Oh, that guy didn't leave a big enough tip. I'm going to bitch at him. No. Let him do him, but say, okay, I judged that guy because he didn't leave a good tip. So I'm going to make sure that I'm going to leave a good tip so that I don't judge myself.
Yeah.
Because judge not lest ye be judged yourself. How we judge others is the way we're going to be judged. So if you say that somebody else is going to, he should do this and he should do that and they should do the other thing. Are you doing that?
Right.
Make sure that you are doing the things that you're saying other people should be doing.
Right.
Why?
Because otherwise there's other people saying that about you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the main purpose.
Yep.
Because they will be saying it about you because there's a base programming that leads to that sort of judgmental and expectation type attitude. People should be or should do, or I'm used to people doing such and such a thing.
Well, here's another example of that, Mike, is that I walk around, I carry a satchel with me everywhere I go.
A man purse. Congratulations, you bitch.
Yeah. Inside my satchel is a mini bug out pack, mini bug out gear. Right. Plus it's my office. So I have paperwork in there. I carry all the information about being my mother's guardian and that I have legal custody of her, because if anything happens, I have to have those pieces of paper to show people that it's legit and that somebody else signed it and gave a stamp, some dude.
You got to prove it.
Right.
Whatever instant, and you got to carry that shit with you.
So I walk around with a satchel. I'm European. You get outside of the United States and you head anywhere in Europe, and men walk around with satchels all over the place. Here, they like to have laptops, and it's okay to have a laptop satchel because you just have a laptop in it, and the people see that and go, "Oh, it's just a laptop." But if you carry a satchel, then people say you have a man purse.
People ask me why I wear jackets and coach.
Right, like Mike, you just said, you got a man purse, right? So people look at me and I take it off when I'm in the store and I put it in the basket, just like women do with their purses. And I walk around and then I got shit in there. Like I have little bags, right, that are folded up in a little teeny thing, and you open it up and it whoosh, and it's the size of a big bag. I have like 5 or 6 of those, so I recycle and I don't have to use paper or plastic. I have bags that I can take that are small, right? And they're in my satchel, and you open it up and it was like, do you remember when we were kids, you had those backpacks that would fold up and go into that little thing you could put on your belt?
Yes.
It's one of those, only it's a bag to put groceries in. And when I go to my satchel and I pull that stuff out. When I'm pulling that stuff out in the store, sometimes there'll be people behind me and they'll look at my satchel and then they look at me and they're like, they look at each other, and I watch them looking at each other and they're trying to figure out, is this guy gay? He's got a purse. What's going on? And I look at them and I go, it's a satchel.
It's a satchel, motherfucker.
No, it's a magic bag because you're pulling more bags out of this one bag.
Here's the thing to that. Let's break that down. And I've said this to people. Let's break that down. Where
hold on.
the
One more
purse
thing that I wanted to tell
invented?
you. Hold on. Before you go on to that tangent, Leo, I just wanted to mention I carry a purse, but it's called a jacket. I wear a jacket in spring and fall. People think that, why are you wearing that? It's so hot. And I'm like, it's my fucking purse because I got my keys in this pocket. I got my wallet in this pocket. I got documents in this other pocket.
It's not a jacket, y'all. It's a loincloth. He's lying to you. It is a leather loincloth.
No, they have those. They have those clothing that has extra pockets all over it in the inside.
Everything that I have has to have
those
pockets.
Those are badass. The preppers have those.
It's got
utilitarian
fucking purpose to it.
I am trying.
Okay, man will always use
now,
the utilitarian purpose for everything.
I'm that way too.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Let me finish the story now.
Go, Leo.
So let's get to a purse.
All right.
Show of hands. Where did that? When was that first used? The word purse. When was that used? That gave the idea that women carry a purse.
When the Egyptians
how far back does that go?
slaved, at the same time the ties were involved.
That's like collecting everybody's.
Maybe the
it goes back to
the purse for the women and the ties for men. And
No,
that's how they.
the word-
they-
the
purse,
word
they
purse
pay their
purse-
is
taxes.
something different than purse.
Yes. No.
The
Yes.
word purse.
I feel
Let's
like it
find
came
the
in the 50s
let's
or
find the
60s,
origin word.
right? Is
Leo,
when
can you
they
do that?
started making that like
I'm about to tell you,
separation, right?
but if you want me to
Nope.
bring it up and
Yes,
read it to
yes,
you, I'll
yes,
read it to
go
you.
for
But
it, bro.
I'm about
Yeah.
to tell you. The word
do.
purse
Go,
has
go.
never been a feminine thing until the 20th century. The word purse was where you kept your money and your coins and your gold, and every single person did that, and they became popular
Person.
when people were fighting. They would all put money in, and that was called the purse. It's still called that. What is
Or
the
the
purse?
kitty,
Any
right? We
fights
call it the
now?
kitty sometimes.
The
now.
money that the person is going to win is still called the purse, because before they would take all the money and put it in a coin purse, and somebody would be in
Right.
charge of holding on to that would
Yep.
would then
Yep.
That
turn it
bag
over
of
to
money you
whoever
see
wins.
everywhere.
Okay, so it was called the purse,
That's
and then
awesome, dude.
everybody walked around. Remember Captain Jack Sparrow picking up the little thing, and that was a purse, and everybody had one.
Yes.
All men,
Yeah.
all women carried a purse, and then
Yes.
in the
Keep your
20th
treasure in
century,
there.
all of a
I
sudden,
make medicine
men carried
bags,
a
dude. I know.
billfold.
I make mini purses.
As far as
Right,
like
and people, you carry a
skirt
billfold or a
clothes,
wallet, and women
everything
still
they
carried
do.
a purse. And now, if a man picks up something with, I used to have a little coin purse that they were made out of rubber. In your kids, and you squeeze it, and the little lip opens up. You put your
Yep.
coins in it. You put it in your pocket.
I had
Yep.
those.
Right.
I even
So
had a
that's a
Jar
point
Jar
with the coin
Binks
purse.
one.
So
I
the
actually
word
had a
purse.
Jar Jar Binks where you could put the
That
coins
Jar
in the
you
back.
bring back the Jar.
And then it was a
The callback
keychain
of
as
Jar
well.
Jar Binks, bro,
Ugliest
from last
fucking
week.
thing I ever saw.
Right, but it worked. Kept your coins in. They wouldn't fall out of your pockets. The whole thing was there. You opened it up. You got
Right.
out what you
Yep.
needed, and you didn't have to reach in your pocket and go, wait, I
And
got a
it got
dime
a
in there
hook
somewhere.
for my
Hold on.
belt.
Coin,
I got a
dude. I haven't
dime.
seen
It's
a
here. I
coin
know
in a
it's
long
here.
time.
Right. You remember when you go to the store and you got that old woman who's paying in cash, and
Those
she's
are a little
digging in
dime.
the bottom of her purse because she wants to get those last 3 cents pennies because it's 03, and she's digging in there. She's
Well,
pulling all this.
exactly.
Right?
I'd rather give
Oh
you
my
that
God,
3
dude.
cents than go with your other coinage.
Dude, they have a whole thing on TikTok. You all need to get on TikTok, dude.
That's
Oh, you
programming.
start doing some 1-minute videos and bring them to like what you
You've
usually do.
inspired me to do that, Aaron. I'm going to start doing it. I've been thinking
Because,
hard.
dude, there's guys
Right?
on
Really?
TikTok that go live
Seriously.
and they're just looking over coins. You just see their
For
hands
real.
like
TikTok
yes,
is
rubber
trying to
gloves on.
I watched
trying
some
to
of those
find
guys.
certain coins. It's
I
fucking
follow
actually
some of those
interesting,
guys,
dude.
bro. Yeah. I
Yeah,
follow some of
they're
those
cool,
guys. They go
man.
live. I go on there, and they're looking through, and they're finding that one rare nickel or
I'm
that one
grateful
rare
I'm doing as
penny.
good as I am.
Oh yeah,
Thank
I've
you,
done
Lord.
that,
Yep.
and that's no joke. I walked into a store one time. I went in to get a pack of cigarettes, and I paid with cash. And the guy handed me back these old silver dollar coins, one of the older ones. Right, I got a 50-cent piece that still had Kennedy on it, or still had Johnson before they changed it. And then he was giving me, and he handed me back a $1 silver certificate. I said, how many more of these do you have in the register?
Holy shit.
And he says,
Wow.
I have 10 of
Dude.
them. I said, I'll buy them from you. And he said, okay. He didn't realize that silver certificate wasn't worth $1. They were worth, like, at the time, $150. I wasn't telling him. I bought them for $1. And I said, these coins, and he had silver nickels. They stopped making those in 1943. How many of these nickels do you have in there?
Right.
And he says, the guy just paid. I have $2 worth. I said, I'll take them. And the guy behind me is going, because he realized, and he's like, ooh, and he's trying to get in on and he's like, shit, this guy's going to buy the gold that I just realized is in front of me. And I bought that shit. I turned around, and I looked at him, and I smiled and gave him the eyebrows up, and I walked out the door. And that's no joke. I got that stuff for cost. I used to, when I was working in retail, I told all my cashiers, if somebody passes some of these things in their silver certificates or gold certificates, I want you to call me over there because I want to explain to them what they're really worth. And if they really don't care, I'm buying them. Right? I feel like I don't care. It was my grandfather's. I'm just trying to get rid of it. Dude, this $5 gold note is worth $5 in gold, bro.
How to actually utilize it.
That's worth gold, real gold. So it's worth more than a $5.
I mean, they made us feel like a nickel.
Certificates are being fucked with right now, man. By Jamie Dimon and who's Jamie Dimon?
I don't know.
Who was he over? He's over a big banking firm.
JP Morgan.
Shit. JP Morgan. Thank you.
Yeah.
So those guys got busted like a year back. Actually, I think it was a couple of years ago. And one guy went down because they were messing with the certificates and the value of silver. Like the value of silver is going up. It should be way up.
I mean,
but because it's being
keep it
manipulated by the central banks, that's a problem. So, silver.
Well, they do that with everything, bro.
Give me actual silver, bro. That's what I want.
And here's the thing.
Silver and gold, like right in my hand that I can hold.
But
Yep.
see,
People
that's
will
the
tell
thing
you
about
I
they're
think that's
Leo's
the safest
coins
bet.
is
Go ahead.
because they were actual silver and they're contracted. For example,
yes.
I tried to get
Once
gold
upon
when
a
I
time ago,
first got
they
to
were
Hold on,
actual
hold on.
silver and
but
gold.
they were nuggets, and everybody had to test them and everything else, and then they ended up being false and everything else because everybody's people try and rip you off all the time.
You can tell
So
what
Well, yeah,
it
I
is, though.
mean,
You can
whenever
see
you've
it.
got those
Mhm.
actual coins, like
Mhm.
Leo was
Here's the
talking
thing.
about, when you recognize that, oh, this particular
Yeah.
coin was minted with certain percentage of
Doesn't matter
silver,
if you're in.
so it's a lot more worthwhile. People know this.
Yep.
It's documented, and so you can go into a place and have a coin and say this
Yeah.
coin is worth so much. It's not what's written on it.
Yes.
Whereas if you go with a piece of silver, a piece of gold, then they have to weigh it, test it, and do all kinds of shit. The
But
coins
it is
themselves
what's
already
useful. It
have a
is not a
certificate
certificate.
on
Right.
them.
It is actual physical silver or gold, which can be used for purposes. Like
And here's the
it
thing.
will actually, if you take it to the right place, they will weigh it up and they will buy
Right.
it. If
Oh, yeah,
you have
absolutely.
like that's
Yep.
what I'm saying is you may have to go through more of red tape, but if you have the actual thing with you and you've saved up on that, say you've got a few pounds of gold,
Yep.
so I'm sure a couple people do, right? You can bring that in. I trust you. Trust
Mm.
me. You go
Oh,
into
yeah, that's
the
not a
right
joke.
place, they're gonna
As long as
fucking
you don't
eyes are
melt
gonna
it
light
down.
up.
As long as
Yep.
you don't smelt it
Well-
yourself, they'll take it,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
If you smelt it, then they
Exactly.
get pissed off because they can't control the quality, so they don't know whether you did it right or not.
Right.
Exactly. It's about
Yeah.
confidence and trust. And so when
Raw.
it's minted, they
Yes.
know what it is. There's a trust factor there.
Which is where
right.
you go into your stones, right? You simply your minerals and your crystals.
Same thing with that. Yeah.
Crystal is used in so many things that we use every day. Like,
That
why
should be
is
the
the crystal?
gold.
So, I mean, you know what I
That
mean?
should
Like,
be
I
what
mean,
It
gold
should be,
is.
dude.
let's
Yeah.
just take life
shit
the way
right
it
here.
is. What's available to us, what we utilize
Right.
every single fucking day, but don't even pay any kind of credence to.
Hold on, I got more.
Right? It's
Look,
Lava
when
this
you-
whole
when you
bag
start
is
to
full of crystal
understand-
rocks. Well, where's the camera over here?
Mhm.
This whole
Show
They're
me
bag
right
right
stored,
here.
here.
baby. They're stored.
This
You need to
entire
get some
bag
big ones.
weighs
You call my
You know,
daughter.
This has
dude.
got to
She
be
can make
about
that.
no, yeah. When you
6 or
they're
7
stored.
pounds of silver, right?
I
Or
already
of
showed
not
them.
silver,
I'm
of
looking for kyanite.
Oh,
crystal right
okay.
here.
I got zero of that. I got
Right.
none
Anyway,
of that.
But no, it's utilizing the magic, the wealth, the productivity of the earth. And people want us to be afraid for the earth. Let's save the earth. The earth will save herself.
Yep.
It's us that are fucked.
We don't need to do that. What we need to do is understand how she works and start working with her instead of saying, "Oh well, I would do it this way." So, bitch, hey.
Well, see, fortunately,
Let's
there
do
are
this.
some of us that are already
Right?
doing that. I agree with what Norma's saying. There's the majority of the population of the planet's not, and Norma's exactly right. So we, as a race or as a species, I should say, not a race,
Yeah.
as a species, we need to start doing that more because that what they've taken from all of you and all of us is the
Yeah.
actual knowledge of how the matrix works. And when people are
Right.
trying to
Yep.
explain to you how it actually works, they try to take and hijack that information because they don't want you to know
Yep.
it, because right now they're losing the control they had over everyone in the matrix, because there's enough of us that are now fighting against them and really seriously making it work. Usually they try to make these big resets and kill off the most of the population so they forget it. Because
What?
then you're
They're
all
not doing
mind
that now, are they?
Yeah, no, they're not doing that now.
See, that's
are
the whole
they?
thing.
Right.
Okay. I'm
Right?
sorry, but really, who knows how to make some butter? Raise your hand.
I do.
Who was taught how to actually? Okay, see, okay. I mean, I kind of do, but I'm trying to be on the for reals right now. That's just
No,
it,
but you're
right?
right. In
This is
truth,
the whole
all
thing.
those skills
When we're going
are
to school
gone,
every day,
right?
and arithmetic is great. Okay, science is great. Economics is okay because I need to know what economic system I'm living in. However, I don't actually know. I mean, according to what was taught in school, I need to know how to go to the grocery store.
Do you know
I need to know what store
Fruits and
carries
I need to
what.
know how to
vegetables
pledge
do
allegiance.
well?
I need to know. You know what I mean?
Flag games.
Okay.
Do you know if you need to eat rucola or if you need to eat agrion, which agrion
shit.
is
We're going into a different
watercress.
show.
I think
We're gonna give
Rufala
Mike
is
a
pretty
whole
good,
It's
right?
fucking
But
watercress,
like hours.
and then you got rucola. Do you know the difference
Seriously.
between
No,
them?
seriously.
We're gonna
And
give
why
him
you
like
should
a
eat
whole
each one?
story,
gonna,
dude,
yes,
one of these days.
yes.
But you know
We're
what?
doing
No,
it right
Sorry,
now.
Aaron, I didn't hear a damn thing. I was talking over
I
you.
said we're gonna give you, and I did cut you off, but it's good. It's okay because I'm giving you praise right now, so you're just gonna have to be okay with it. Anyway, I said we're gonna have to do a whole show on like
Really?
organics and how to grow your own things and how to be self-sustainable
Yes.
and just let you just go.
Or you
Because
can
you
buy
were doing
Leo's
it right now,
book.
dude. It's still
Yes.
it's still a
Yes,
book.
gotta buy
Or
Leo's
you
book.
can buy
I
Leo's
liked
book
nature
on
because my
Kindle for
grandparents
$5.
farmed in Oklahoma, but things are a lot more difficult to grow in Oklahoma. I get down to Brazil. I got a friend of mine whose mom has been into that for a long fucking time. She gives me a bunch of plants. My neighbor leaves and they give me a bunch of plants. And I'm curious, so I ask them about each one of the things that they're giving me. And there are some to where you eat the leaves of this plant and it's spiny as fuck. I didn't realize what it was. Later, I had to ask you. If you take the leaves, wash them off, obviously, because you got bird poop and
Right.
everything else, but they
Nature.
are actually protein rich plants. It's a fucking plant, and I'm eating goddamn leaves, but it's like I'm eating beans and I'm being filled. And it's really fucking bizarre, but it really fucking works.
That's cool.
Well, see, here's the thing, guys. They don't want you to know that I lived. Okay, here's a perfect example. I moved to Arizona. I'm back in California now, but I moved to Arizona and I lived there for 3.5 years. While I was there, my buddy who I've known for 35 years, he says to me, "Bro, if the world goes shitty, you better learn what the hell you're doing out there because you're in the middle of the desert. You're going to die." I was like, "What? Maybe he's right. I need to look into this." I realized that out in that desert, there's more food for me to eat than there is in a modern city.
True.
Yeah.
Because all the stuff grows wild out in the desert, and it survives on little or no water.
You can grow artichokes in the desert.
Yeah.
Asparagus grows wild in Arizona. You can walk
Agave
outside your house.
Fucking
You
awesome.
can leave your house in Arizona, and you can go harvest right off in the desert asparagus.
Peyote. No.
Now, see, I love asparagus and peyote.
Peyote, that too.
Yes.
I really got to try it.
No, asparagus.
Okay, check this out. There's
that's
a
it.
tree. Have you guys have heard of mesquite, right?
Yeah.
Mesquite and what's the other one? I can't think of the name right now. We use them when we're cooking stuff. You use the mesquite for a flavor, and there's another tree that we use for flavor as well, and I forget the name of them. Both of them grow wild in the deserts of the United States. Right, so you have Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, where these trees grow wild.
Parts of Utah, I think, even,
and parts of Utah, okay, and and parts of Nevada, they grow
I
wild.
May be wrong, but I think
no, you're right. And when the people were traveling from the east, coming over to the west, when you would go to LA or San Diego, you would take the southern route, which went across through Texas and through all of the deserts to come over here. The other people would go north through Colorado and come down into, like the Donner Party did, into California up here in the north end. And that's how you was one or the other, the north route or the south route. So that was primarily where all the covered wagons went. And it's an easier way to go if you go down the south because you don't have to go over too many Rocky Mountains. You get over at San Diego and you have the Rockies continued there where you have to go over the top of what we call the grapevine. Now, and they called it that because they used to grow grapes wild over there. So when the people were coming across the plains that came from the east and they were using flour that is made from wheat because we had the wheat fields in the east, and that was the what everybody used was wheat. They ran out of wheat and they couldn't make anything. And the Native Americans showed them these trees, the mesquite tree and the hickory. That's what it is, mesquite and hickory. Both of those trees grow a bean pod on them. And when those bean pods are growing and they're green, you can pick them off and you can boil them and eat them just like you do green beans. And if you wanted to, you can wait until they dry up and fall off. And then you take that and you ground it into a powder. You ground it into flour, and it's naturally gluten-free. Right. And it's a tan color, and it's naturally sweet, and it has no sugar in it at all. And it's better for you than wheat. When that was discovered, somebody tried to, and today they still manufacture it, but nobody wants it because the companies that control the wheat, they don't want to change from wheat to the mesquite trees because they only grow in a certain climate. So they refuse to allow that to get big. Right now it's starting to get a little bit bigger, but what they're doing is they're selling it to the health food market where they're giving you the powder and people are taking it and putting it in their drinks and drinking their smoothies with this other flour in it.
That's what they do in Brazil. They've got the guaraná, which is an energetic powder, and so it looks like a bean and that sort of thing. And they grind it up, and it's
the same thing.
Really high energy.
It's probably another version of the same type of thing down there.
Flour styles of making cashew.
So they don't want all of us. So my point is, in all of this, is they don't want any of you to know these skills anymore because everything has to be central. So, and they have to be in control of it. So they can't have you growing your own food because you won't need to go to the store, like Norma said.
Right.
So they don't
Right.
want you to learn how to grow your own food because they want you dependent on the store, so they can just
Yeah.
shut the doors when you
Every
don't pay
time we
attention to what
say
they
they, dude, I should like have like a list that just goes off on the live stream.
Right.
Like, because when we say that, I fucking hate it when I have to say
Well,
they.
because that's just it.
Right,
Right.
right.
Many of us
Because
don't
I'm
What-
like,
what does that
what
mean?
is they?
Right?
You know?
What does that
But
mean?
there is the
Because-
they. They're
Prohibit
like,
how many you get to
Who's
people
the they?
and
we're
the
talking about the
number
Davos
for
crowd.
having them.
They're meeting right now this week,
Yeah,
and we're talking about people that feel like they have so much control over money. They don't own the money; they just control it.
right.
Therefore, gives them the power.
Well, they don't own anything. That's the key.
Right,
They don't
dude.
own anything.
I mean,
they just
what are
control
the
it.
fucking kings and
Yeah.
queens? Why are they getting money anyway? Like,
Right.
what are they doing?
Yeah.
Like, really just living lavish and doing these little parties, and I look
Because
pretty.
they still have
Let's
enough
have
of
a
us
big pageant
believing
for it.
that
Hold on, the
someone's
kings
blood
and
type,
queens
We
were
blood
learned that,
relation,
Americans
blood,
learned that shit
whatever
from the
is
Brits,
some
dude.
sort
Hold
of
on, guys.
That
Everybody's
whole
talking over
pageantry
each other.
shit.
Guys, stop talking over each other. Well,
Yeah.
Mike,
No, but yeah.
say what
All
you're
right,
going to say.
so
Then
we
Norma.
have the royals that we assume own everything, but they are controlled by who controls the money. And for example, after
Right,
Waterloo,
bankers.
the Red
Yeah.
Shield was able to
I
lie
like how you said that. I know who
results.
the Rothschilds are.
That's
Yeah.
where their name came from. It was German, and so what happens is they lied. Their messengers
that's what
were
that means.
faster than the national messengers to England, and so they lied about the results. Everybody sold off things that they thought they needed to sell off because England lost.
Right.
But when everybody found out England won, it was too late because at that point the Red Shield bought everything up at dollars, pennies to the dollar,
Yeah.
and they owned.
Call them
England.
BlackRock right
That
now.
point.
That's who's an American.
Exactly.
BlackRock.
Same fucking
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
And BlackRock right now is buying up land and housing and everything
Yep.
else. They're paying 20% plus
Office space.
on
Yes.
that to make sure that they own
Yep.
it because they will not sell it back. They are
Right.
buying up everything
No,
so that they
They're
can
going to
rent
make it
it.
good and
Because the
convenient
great
for you
reset
to
is you will
rent.
own nothing and you will be happy, which means
And be
they
happy.
will own everything.
That's right.
That's exactly
Which
it.
they won't. There's too much pushback already. Like, but that doesn't mean we
Agreed.
stop doing that. Like, stop talking about
Well,
it.
because
But I really feel like, I mean, the masks are coming off. Oh, the mandates are gone just magically. Whoa, what do you know?
I
Went
mean,
from a
they-
deadly virus to,
Mhm.
oh, you can just
Yeah,
go
that's
back
because
to
it's
the
always
cold,
been-
the cold,
We're about to go
that's
into
what it
10 days
fucking
of
is.
darkness to where everybody's going to see the crimes against humanity. That is after the Third World War because they
If you're not
got it.
seeing it by
If
now,
you
then you're
can't-
fucking
yeah.
blind or completely brainwashed.
Well,
really,
See, but now you're
If you're not
getting
seeing
into
the crimes
prophecy,
against
Mike.
humanity that's
Right.
been going on for the last,
what I'm going to say
I mean,
is
thousands
you may
of
not be
years.
able to see it right now, but if you are not like uptight in your fucking body, like all just totally like
Something's wrong here.
that be-
Wait, this is wrong here too. Yeah.
then maybe you're
Yep.
stuck somewhere. But I feel like a good majority of us are
We
feeling
got a
some kind of
porn
something
poster
that
on
we don't
that.
fully
Yeah, I
understand.
just got rid
We're
of
just
him.
not fully
I just
ready to
blocked
let
him,
go
bro.
of some
You
sort of
got
belief
him. You
system
zapped
that
him,
is,
dude.
I got him.
stuck.
You set him
Yep.
straight
Or-
to hell, dude.
As
You
soon
know,
as I
it-
saw him,
it's
he was on
uncomfortable.
he was on my
It's
show on
uncomfortable.
Friday, and I had to block him. And then he was on here earlier. You got him, but it was a different IP address. He just came
Yeah,
down as a
different
Russian.
ones, dude. They just
Yeah.
it's just hookers and fucking. I mean,
Yeah.
I get you, hookers. I have nothing against you.
Oh,
You want to
here's the
fucking
thing,
make
though.
some money, and you're good at what you do.
Yep. Do it.
Yeah, you're delivering a service.
Don't do that on my
However,
page. But
don't spam my shit.
like seriously.
Yeah, don't
Well,
spam
see,
my
and
shit.
the whole thing that I gotta say.
But the
It
thing about
upsets
that,
me
and
about
yeah,
the way
don't spam the
things
show.
work
The
in
problem
the
is the
realm in which we're
mentality.
living.
Hold on, two people
They
talking.
destroy
I
their
know.
own life.
But
Yeah,
they
all-
get
You
to
decide.
spam.
You and
Mike.
Mike decide who talks first.
No, let Norma
They get
talk
to
because
spam.
Mike's been
Norma
talking.
I talked
Yeah.
over
They
her.
get
That
to.
was my bad.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it's allowed. Like I can't even comment like I love you to too many people before I'm getting fucked with. So it just sucks
Right.
that
Are you talking about dick pics?
they're still in their
Are you
works.
talking about dick pics?
No, I'm
That's a
talking about all
weird
of it.
thing, dude. I mean,
No,
it doesn't put
that's not
foot
what I was,
past me.
that's
but-
not what I'm talking about. But
no,
I'm
but
talking
when
about
you say I
the
love you to people,
pornographers. No, okay, well,
and they send dick pics, that's a different story.
okay,
Sorry,
no,
sorry.
actually, okay, well, you're going somewhere else, and that does happen sometimes too.
No, it just
But-
reminded me of that.
No,
Like, I gotta say I
um,
love you, then I'm getting shit.
but no, it's funny. Okay, in systematically, okay, we're all being like caught and flagged or like whatever for certain little things, and you see if you're paying attention, pornography is always allowed in some way, shape, or form. Okay, yet it's somehow against the law, but it's always somehow allowed. Why is
It's
that
against the law of
spam
the
not being
US.
spammed by all the spammers
Yeah, why
watching
is
the
that not
spam?
getting cut off?
If
But our
that's
shit that's truth is getting.
but
like,
because
we're being,
I was saying I
people with
love this
integrity
stuff so
are getting
much,
cut down,
I
shut down.
I had to shut up.
Yes, because we're, there's a lot of money
Okay.
in shit. Like you gotta remember that.
Money, money,
That's what it
money.
comes down to. Anyway,
But
I think we
still,
need to talk
everybody
about
knows
our
that.
little.
Now you guys have to
I think
realize
we need
that
to
one
talk
thing.
about.
The reason, Aaron, that you're saying, well, why is it that all those of us who have integrity, we get shut down and they have this other hideous crap that's up? Because you have to realize that the powers that are in the people that are in control of the big tech and the internet want it to be primarily more evil than good. So
Yep.
they're taking away
Yes.
reality and the reality stories and anybody who's telling them what's really going on, and they're giving you nothing but fantasy and evil, nasty, hideous shit. They're starting to right now in the American government, they've been talking out about pedophilia and trying to make it okay. Right? The American government and people in the American government are now actually trying to push pedophilia as okay, because they know that what's happening is that everybody is actually starting to uncover that and unravel it, like Mike is just alluding to, that they're going to see the hideous shit that people are doing soon. So now they're trying to change the narrative. Quick. They're going to know about this because we can't stop it. It's coming out. So we have to try and
what
change
I was saying
their
is
idea.
it already came out. Like I have a different thought. I have a different angle here. I think that people have seen it. There's been plenty, dude. We've taken over Facebook. That's why we're getting censored, because the people that are speaking truth, they can't stop them, dude. And if they try to stop them, it's the Barbra Streisand effect, right? So I can't remember exactly how the story was, but they tried to censor Barbra Streisand in some way, and then because they did that,
she became famous.
She became even more famous, or whatever they were talking about became more interesting. And that's what's happening is
that's the beauty of it, bro.
We are the best place that people think that they're, and it is crazy right now. But
it's
to look at it from where I'm looking at it, and I've really closely studied it for a few years. Okay. We're winning, but they don't want to let you know that we're winning, so they're going to still do their thing. They're going to send you commercials and ads that make you feel like you need to be part of this team. Let's focus on the people that are really doing this. This is the richest people in the world. Yeah, the Red Shields, but there's people that we don't even.
But like they said, they're not worried about the money. They want the control. It's not about money. It's
Those
about
are the people that are running capitalism, socialism, communism. It doesn't matter. All these isms doesn't matter. What we should be able to do is freely make money off services we give. Any of us, all of us, or labor that we give, or
whatever. If you provide a service,
and have
my
the
energy, my
to
time,
not
my
allow. What we have is monopolyism, dude. We have monopolies. And we have laws on the books, but nobody's actually using them. And I'm sure that we are not the only.
And then we're manipulating them before people even realize
not
they're
the only
there.
country that has these laws on the books.
Right.
My dad told me that a long time ago. He's like, dude, we have law books for this shit, but nothing's getting charged. And that's what's going on with this whole shit that we've been dealing with for 2 years. 2 fucking years.
All right. Listen, this is what.
Why are they now?
And that's only happening because for 20 years we've been doing it.
Why do they do that? That's why I feel like we're still being thrown in fucking rabbit holes. Keep your head straight. We all know what the fuck's going on. Like y'all out there,
we do.
Y'all started
whether it hurts
questioning
your
this
heart or not,
fucking.
it scares you. You know. Anyway, I'm sorry. I just went on my soapbox.
No, you know what? Here, I want to expand.
I have a dream.
I want to expand on that. Okay, listen. This is what the most important thing to realize is this. We have to stop fighting and bitching about what they're doing, and then let me explain why. Okay, let me explain why. Okay, first of all, like Aaron said, we're winning and they don't want to give that up. I would go on further and I would suggest to you, we've already won a long time ago. There's just not enough people that actually know it to turn the tide. They're all.
Still following
That's
the illusion.
why they're going so far and so deep.
It's already over. They're just people just don't know about it yet. That's it. They've already lost. But if they can convince you, if they can convince you to fight them, then you're in their arena and you're buying into
many
this
people
reality by
will
doing
See,
so.
the thing about
See
winning
their
against
power.
them or not.
Hold on,
is-
Mike. Norma was talking first. Hold on, bro. Norma, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I'm
No,
just
you
saying,
don't be. You
too
started
many
talking.
people
I
are
interrupted
either
you,
far
and then
too
Mike did.
willing
Right. So
to
go
give
ahead,
their
please.
power away, or they don't even understand that they have some kind of power, right? They're
Right.
so embedded in depth in their
Their rightism,
right,
as
like,
we're
what,
speaking
right,
about,
like
I'm so right. Like
they're
I am most
intuitive.
right of all.
Well, no, they're intuitive. Like people doubt and question their inner senses, right? So they're
You're
looking
talking about-
outside.
yes.
I'm talking about those people that are
Yes.
getting lost in these spaces. The only reason a game is still being fucking played, right? Too many of us are still so
letting the
easily
vampire. We're inviting the
giving away
vampire
our
into
power,
our house,
right?
so to speak.
You're still letting
right?
the
We're just
programming run
giving
their
it
brain.
away. We're just
Yes.
or we simply don't understand that we truly carry this power.
Or are we letting it happen? Or are we just
You
giving
see,
it
the
power?
thing, we
by
don't understand
watching
because
it,
they want
by
to block that from us.
consuming it?
Because as soon as we understand, we will take that power and be able to do it. It's like now,
Absolutely,
for
Mike.
And we
example,
are
Absolutely.
like
understanding.
Leo was saying,
I
they
I
already
believe
lost.
That's what
their
Aaron was
power
saying
because
too.
all the
Exactly the
proof
same
is
thing.
there. However,
And
they
Norma.
don't necessarily have the power because their power comes from the people. So the
Right.
people have to
Right.
know. They have to wait
Yep.
for us to wake up and demand it, like the
And
parents
since
in the
we
PTA, like
We're going
your
after
student count, your local city council
That's
members,
really good.
like your own mayor, like your own community. When the community stands up and really says, you know what,
Right.
we're in charge of this shit, and you take control of what is actually yours, their day is done. And what they have been waiting for is for people to wake up so that the people can take back the power that is intrinsically theirs. And at that point,
Yes.
the military has the right to do what the people are requesting, which is to stop the corruption,
Yep.
stop the bullshit, stop this fucking destroying our
Yep.
our life crap. Let us fucking
Let's
live.
I want to give it an example. We're going to use a movie. We're going to use a movie reference. But in Braveheart, when they were all standing there against the tyranny,
Fantastic fucking movie.
Yeah.
and the Irish and the Scottish fucking joined up because they're
Yep.
different as fuck. But they're
Right.
not. They're the same. Like we both want the same things.
Right.
Yep.
We don't want people coming through our villages and
Like-
burning it all down
Right.
and taking everything. That's where we're at right now. We're a little further than pitchforks. Now we can use our minds and our words to really pierce through the fucking
However,
veil
they were still
that they've
going
left
And our
us.
podcast.
Really, all it is
our
it
message.
takes, like in the Wizard of Oz, it takes. I'm using two movie references.
It's okay,
It takes
guys. I'm
Toto
going to use
go
one right
and
after you
fucking
do,
pull
bro.
the curtain
I use
and
movie
show what
references all
Oz
the
is
time. You don't
doing
worry about
and
it.
realize he's not
Yeah.
that powerful. They're not that powerful. They're really not.
They're not. They
An illusion,
demand
like
our
Leo said earlier.
acquiescence, like
I want
Norman
to. I
was
want to give
saying.
another. I want to
We
give another
have to
example.
give them our power for them to have
Yes.
power.
That's
If
right.
I
we
just
don't
want to let
give
y'all
them
know we're
our-
at hour 2 hours, and hold on, hold your thought, please. But we've got to tease something a little bit tonight.
Oh yes, we have a
So we're gonna tease that, and we're not completely ready, but there's something very special coming up in spring,
very special,
March
Yep.
19th.
right?
And I wanted to just stop just for a second, and I want to talk about it because we're going on a podcast. I'm going to have to explain it as we go because we're live on video right now, but for our podcast, it's not going to be. But anyway, we've got something called the Sacred Awakening. It's a one-day event. It's a retreat. So it is where someplace you can fall back and learn more and gain more tools, gain more weapons, whatever you want to call them.
Relax.
But we're bringing everything together. Like we were just talking about. We're bringing, everybody is, standing together. And I think we have like 5 teams right now or guides that are going to spend an hour with you. This is one day. It's on a Saturday. And they're going to teach you something very profound. All 4 of us that are on the live stream are going to be part of it. There's another one that's a surprise teacher. And if she allows me, I at least said she's a she. So I've given away a little bit, but
Right.
if she allows me, I'm totally going to name drop and I'm totally going to show her greatness and her body of work, but very, very special than I've ever worked with. And this is coming up, and just watch for the tickets. It's going to come up on the Skull Island page on YouTube, Facebook. We're going to be talking about it a lot more. It's only $33 for one day for all of these speakers, all of us taking our time to spend one-on-one time with you and interact. We want you to interact. We want you to be in there. We want you to be learning. We're basically going to take you on a journey, and we want you to join the journey and help us with this, whatever way we're doing this. So it could be through Reiki, could be through healing, could be through vision sessions, which is what I do, or a meditation, which is what Normas do, psychology, learning how to level up, learning how to really find that sacred awakening within you, that there is something there. And that's what we were talking about, that we are winning. There's a lot of people out there living in fear. And I think that's what where we're headed. That's our goal, is to help rise from the ashes and become you again.
Okay, guys, really quickly, I want to leave you guys with this, and then I got to go. My brother's on the phone. I haven't talked to him for a few days, so I'm gonna leave. But I want to leave you guys with this to think about for everything that we talked about today, and for the event that we have coming up on the solstice. Okay, and really quickly, and then I'll go. Okay, but this is what I want you guys to think about. There's a movie reference. Now look at all the different movies that are documentaries throughout time, or that are not. And what is the central theme that you see in most of the movies that are the biggest blockbusting movies that are out there? They're always a movie with this, that has the dichotomy between good and evil. Evil has already been in control, and good is rebelling against that to take back control. And they're doing that, and it's a small group of people who are helping a large group of people to wake up to the tyranny and to fight against the tyranny. And I want you to understand, think about every movie: Star Wars, Star Trek, the Braveheart, the Predator, the Patriot, right? And that's the story of the Americans doing that exact thing to get their own freedom. I want you to realize that everything that is in every story, including the Lord of the Rings, including the Dune saga, and every story that's being told to you is a microcosm to the macrocosm of what's happening on this planet. And there's a reason that we keep making these movies over and over, because we're fighting against their machine, right, by giving you these images of fighting against the machine in your head, and that we're winning, and that ultimately they always lose. That's reality. That's what's going to happen no matter what anyone does. So rest assured and understand that it's already over. You guys just have to buy into it and understand that, and wake up to the fact that we've already won. Okay, I'm going to leave you guys with that. I love you guys. Have a great night
through this. Yes, thank you. Sorry, Leo, I have to cut you off for just a second.
No, that's okay. I'm done.
Adding to what you're doing, we will be here to help you. We're going to be running some retreats and showing you a lot deeper than what we're just talking about. We get in here and talk shit, but a lot deeper than what we were talking about. Anyway, Leo's got to go. Mike,
much love, Leo.
Hold on. If you want to find Mike and you want to find his perspectives.
Well, I'm on Pena Perspective on YouTube. I'm on Pena Perspective on Rumble. Facebook is really more for personal and people that I know. However, those two are the main ones. You can also find me on BitChute, most likely, but I haven't been on there in a long freaking time. But yeah, I'm here on Skull Island and the Sacred Awakening. Thank you, Aaron. You flipped that around. That worked. We're going to help people, and I want to help people reach their blue level, your personal destiny, what it is that you were actually placed on this planet to do. We'll help you find your path. That's my objective in life, and I'm going to be 50 in about a month. So yeah, that's my personal objective in this second or last section of what I am, my existence, is for each. I've reached mine. I've got my paradise. Fuck it. I could give a shit about anything else. I want to help you.
You do give a shit about everybody else. That's why you're doing what you're doing.
That's right.
Well, I do, but I'm not going to allow others to bring me down or take my shit or anything else.
We don't have to listen to you if we don't want to. You're right. I get you.
I've established my foundation, and now I can just help others without expecting anything in return, because I've got what I need. And I want others to reach that
on YouTube. And Facebook, you're on Pena Perspective, right? On Facebook?
I will create a Pena Perspective on YouTube for that. I haven't done it yet. I've got DLP Enterprises. I will create Opinion Perspective for YouTube, for Facebook.
Awesome.
Thanks for the idea.
Guys, really
Thank you,
quickly,
brother.
I
Still
wanted to
utilize
say,
them.
because I told my brother what we were talking about, and remember, my brother's also a minister, and he said, tell them that we've already won, and here's the example. What did Jesus say when he was on the cross? He said, "It is finished." And from that moment on, it's over. He said, you just have to know that one word, those words that Jesus said to understand. Know those words.
Done.
You will understand
for everything that
already.
day. Yep. He paid for everything that day.
Yep.
And he came back to let us know.
Leaving it in a Christian perspective, you motherfuckers. But anyway, I love Jesus too. But
I'm just going to put it this way.
Norma, where can they find you? I'm just joking, guys. I'm not.
Understand, when you give yourself up to the whole idea that you've done this enough times that you're done, right? Whether you want to give that to Jesus,
old soul type
Buddha,
stuff, right?
or any other deity, knowing that you are done because you're done, right?
Save some for
you're
next
ready to
week.
grow.
Babe. Save some for next week. Where
yes.
Can they find
anyway, you can find me.
What do you do?
Okay, so I'm a ceremony specialist. I do weddings, I do moon ceremonies, I do baptisms, I do
the master
cleansings,
of
I do whatever it is that you need. I do charge accordingly. If you want me to be your Vula, I'll be your Vula. I'll be your, you know vulva. Yeah, vulva. There we go.
Vulva sounds like a sexual part, but it's actually.
I'll be your shaman. I'll be your mystic. I'll be your witch. I'll be whatever it is you need to be, because I do hold all of that up inside of me.
Extraordinaire. If you want rituals, she's got it.
Yes.
You want to do some things? You want some readings? Yes.
I've been writing since I was very young. I'm very good at putting things together. So as long as we get to at least have one decent conversation, I feel like I can personalize your custom ceremony, whatever it may be, for whatever it is you were looking for. I am very connected. And Mystic Norms, right? I'm wellness and weddings as far as a business name goes, because that's what I do.
Email?
But Mystic Norms, and you'll find me everywhere.
What about your email?
I am at NormaRasmussen33@gmail.com.
Nice.
I'm at Opinion Perspective at protonmail.com. However, Aaron, you've got a weekly, you've got a daily show for cards, do you not?
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, I give cards. I mean, cards are just, they help me, but I don't fucking need them. But no, I'm a psychic. I'm a psychic and a shaman, and I'm a mentor. I'm a teacher. You can find me at www.psychicshaman333.com.
There you go.
Check me out if you want to check me out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Fuck, I think I'm on all of them. I don't know, but we don't play around here. Like, we say the F word, we cuss. But what we're trying to do is show you
podcast,
right?
The Pirate Podcast is all about enlightening, and it's dark. Look at how it's purple dark, that moon shining through, because we're dark, but we're light, but we're really trying to what we set out to do here was educate people on the things that we've been willing to go in and learn, as disgusting as it is sometimes, and as shocking as it is.
On the 7 seas, we are separated from what society deems everyone should do, and we all have our purpose. On the pirate ship, each one has his purpose, and the purpose is survival of all.
That's right.
All right. What's your last thought, babe, to give everybody, and then we're gonna go to Mike, and then we're gonna go to me.
So, I mean, my final thoughts really are just, I feel like those that are like, in need of me, I'm here. They tend to find me. I feel like, if you are sensing something with me today, you'll find me. I'm Mystic Norms, NORMZ. Not norms as in like, whatever. My name is Norma. So, I mean,
she's working.
And I'm a mystic.
Trying to make it sound cool.
Mystic as in, I do multiple
what thought you
mystical
want to leave
things.
Till next week.
Be who you are. Find who you are. Get to that place where when you breathe, you feel you, not the question of you.
Perfect.
How about you, Mike? Final thought for everybody.
Final thought. Seek your blue level. Blue level by Maslow's pyramid is that personal destiny, that self-fulfillment. Okay, so I want everyone to find their own destiny. As far as my channel and Opinion Perspective at protonmail.com, if you want to email me. I am developing a series on Einstein Never Used Flashcards, which is child developmental segments in psychology. I'm also going to do a series on Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the things that book taught you in being able to build your own reality. There is also a couple of books that I want to make something else on. So I've read a lot of stuff and I'm writing my own book, but I've found out that some of the books that I've actually read, people are interested in. So I'm going to be making some series about those before actually launch into my book.
All right, quit selling yourself, you little fuckers.
Awesome.
What is the final
Sorry,
thought to leave the audience? God damn you.
Final thought.
divas.
Sorry. Be at peace. Be well. Jesus Christ paid for all of us. Take his hand because he's got us all. Just do what he asks. It's no big deal. He lightens your load immensely. Thank you all.
Nice.
Peace to
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Namaste, brother.
Appreciate it.
And my final thought is be yourself. Have some fun. Fucking enjoy your life. And if you have to fight sometimes, you have to fight. Just go for it. But be brave. Face adversity head on when you need to. Right now, we need to. I'll see you all next week.
Don't be afraid.
We're on Tuesday or Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you check us out. Like our podcast. Go check out our podcast over on Spotify. Make sure you give us a rating if you can.
You're on Spotify too? Holy shit.
We're on
All right.
Spotify,
So we're on
brother. We're on
Facebook.
Spotify.
We're on
Yeah.
Facebook. We're on Insta. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and
we're on
D-Live.
D-Live. If you can give us
and
some lemons,
Spotify.
give us some lemons. I mean, we'd love it. But really, just show your support. If you can share, just share it around for now. I mean, we've got a lot of fun things coming up. We've got a retreat coming up on the spring equinox. It's going to be fucking epic. We may swear, but guess what? You're going to learn something that's going to ascend you. Because swearing is an ascended fucking level.
It's just
how to do it
elevating the
properly.
conversation.
That's right.
It's just adding a little bit of an emphasis.
That's right, brother.
Right.
All right. We love you all. Love you, Mike. We'll see you next week, brother.
See you later.
Peace out,
Y'all
everybody.
Have a great time. Have a great week. See you soon.
Much love.
Much love.
Mm.